Surprise. Good morning. There's got to be like some sort of filter on this shit. Seems like there's a filter on this. Can I change that? Sorry about that. Had the audio going. Good morning, everyone. The old account is back. All right, that's effects. There's some sort of filter on here. Get rid of that. 1 second. Get it? Still a filter. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get rid of that filter. Main account restored. Color me shocked, folks. Color me shocked. I didn't know. In fact, is yesterday. Yesterday, I had reached out to somebody I had talked to at TikTok. I had gotten a response. And essentially, I was told that my account just would not be restored. The live access would never be restored. And so I went back and forth with TikTok for a while. In fact, a lot of people have had to switch they switched the subscriptions over to the backup account. I appreciate those that did that. I apologize for anybody who switched their subscription to the other account. Now you don't have subscription benefits here. We'll do something for you. We'll figure something out. I don't want these. We'll figure out something. But good morning to everybody. It was a hell of a day yesterday. I know Felice only put up like seven videos. There's only 71 things on our list to cover today, so it seems like it was a slow day yesterday. How are you guys? That's the question. Good morning, Debbie. Gina, good morning. Host is almost here. Hello, host. Good morning.
Good morning.
Felice, I don't know if your mic's on or not, or if you did say anything. If it is, and you just weren't talking.
Can you hear me?
I apologize for that.
Can you hear me?
I cannot hear you. Are we doing this shit again? It says you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, everybody but you. Oh no, not this again. Let me just. I think we have to. I have to reset. Let me just.
It might be your live access. Like, remember that one? Because
Nope.
Is this
Fixed.
your main? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yay! Is this your main account? Did you tell everyone you got it back?
Look at me. I got my account back. Look at me.
Yay!
I got my account
Isn't
back.
that there is justice in this world? Not in Congress,
Yeah.
but somewhere in this world.
You know what? Here's what I actually think happened. I have an agency, right? And they would not respond to me. They just didn't do anything. And then yesterday, I got a message from my agency. Somebody from my agency, and they're like, "Hey, I saw your TikTok about your live access being restored. Have you ever thought of being with an agency? We can help you with this." I'm like, "Bitch, you are my agent. Like, did you read up? Did you see these other, like, we've messaged before."
I don't know why you're giving. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I don't know why you're giving a percentage of anything to an agency. Why are you?
I'm not.
But
They don't
you
take
were
anything from me.
because you told. I swear you told
No,
me they
TikTok
did.
TikTok pays them. It doesn't change what we get paid. TikTok pays it out of their end to the agencies.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
because I'm like, whatever would be the benefit? I can't imagine paying an agent unless they did something for you.
No,
I mean, if the job you're saying you have an agent to intercede with TikTok for you, that seems, I don't know.
Well, that's
crazy.
when I messaged them. Like, they have their own Discord, and when I messaged them, they're like, "We can't do anything." And then this person reached out, who was the original one. I will be probably switching agencies, anyways. I've heard good things about other agencies, that they are helpful and they do respond. So we'll see. Happy Wednesday.
So wait, I'm sorry. I'm just more going into. So the benefit is TikTok has deals with. This is specifically for lives.
Uh huh. Yeah,
And the deal
basically,
is, okay, agency, you deal with these people so they don't send us messages and we'll give you some of our gifts.
it's
Money? That seems crazy to me. It doesn't make sense. I mean,
I don't
I'm
know.
just trying to understand.
I know a couple people who are like agents in agencies or like recruiters for agencies. So I don't know all the details. I could probably find out, but I think like the role of the agency is to drive traffic. TikTok will set like incentives for them so they can give out like
Oh, okay.
they can give
That
out
makes
diamonds and
sense.
stuff. So
There
like
you go.
yeah, like in mine there's always some lead for a while. There's always a leaderboard um of like who's gone live the most hours that week or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what they do. Let me see. They actually messaged me this morning. Let me see. Yeah,
Sounds
yeah. They messaged me this morning and they're like, "We've been harping on them. We'll see if they get a reply." And then this morning it's done. So,
Well, there you go.
uh, I don't know what we're going to do today. You and
I
I've
have an
scoured the
idea.
internet. Nothing happened yesterday. There was just
Are you
nothing.
being serious? Yeah, not anything.
That was a death look. RTP's bike. Hi, how are you? It's good to see you. I hope to
Hey,
ride.
Daddy,
I
who's
hope
call?
to ride you later. That'll be fun.
No, no for you page today for me. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, guys, let's tap the screen. Let's get to 15K. Again, we're doing CoinCot, so if you would like to donate to us, just use either one of these or the tip jar in Jay's profile has PayPal if you don't have Venmo or Cash App, and we split it at the end. So let's see. Yeah, so let's try to keep tapping the screen since we don't have gifts on. It's harder to get to the For You page, and we would like to talk to some Republicans today, if at all possible.
And we will be reading any comment that you make.
Oh yeah, I forgot the
Within
best
reason.
part.
Within.
Yeah, so when you send gifts through here, make a little funny comment because that's the best part of the whole thing. And then periodically throughout the live, we will read them. Yeah, most importantly, send funny messages. That's the whole point of this. Really.
That's right.
That's what this has become about.
That's right. There's a war between my rug and my bike in the comments. I just like to say to rug and bike, let's get along today, okay? There's plenty of RTP to go around. There's plenty. Maybe we could go for a bike ride and then take a nap on the rug later. We could do that. All right, Felice. I have a question for you.
Oh, God. Yes.
How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how convincing were the Republican arguments yesterday on impeaching Mayorkas?
Well, I don't even know. Like, I wouldn't even. It wasn't. What we saw yesterday was actually a master class. Like, it just shows you how united the Republican Party is. Because, no, the message makes no sense. It's complete. It's illogical, right? I mean, it's anti-constitution. I mean, everything about it makes zero sense. The point is, there's no high crime. There's no misdemeanor, and there's certainly no high crime that these people can name. And like the Goose was saying, you can't just high crimes and misdemeanors isn't some catch-all phrase you just throw out there when someone asks you why you want to impeach someone.
Yeah, I would wonder. I haven't heard any Republicans yet talk about this today. I don't know what everybody's done in lives today. But I was really, I was in watching the clips. I had a hard time putting myself in a position where if I'm MAGA, like this is a good day. There's no way that
This is an awful day.
well, even just like not outcome related. The outcome, great. I'm glad that was the outcome. I think it's ridiculous that they're trying to impeach Mayorkas, but like, there's no consistent theme. There's no message. There's nothing. Like, if your entire party can't even explain why Mayorkas is being impeached, that's a problem. That's a real problem for your party. And I was just thinking, like, obviously, selfishly, I look at news stories and I'm like, okay, well, how can we cover this? Or like, will Will this be something that people want to hear or will want to discuss? If I'm MAGA and I watched that, I'm certainly not excited about going on the internet the next day and defending that position. I'm certainly not excited about, like, if I have liberal friends who are going to point this out, because it's indefensible. In fact, if there's MAGA here, of course, you're always welcome. At any point, jump into the guest box. We'll bring you up. We'll have this discussion. I do want to know that. This is one of the most embarrassing days of Congress, which is not shocking because it's the most embarrassing Congress that our country has ever had. It's just every single day is more and more embarrassment, and they're doubling down on the same dumb dicks that got them here.
That's true, right? But like multiple things can be true. And I think that for me, just from my background of like in marketing and advertising, like what I saw yesterday as though, in addition to what you just said, was very successful for Republicans, because what you saw again was the Republicans put on a masterclass starting at literally 6 a.m., like Eastern time, a masterclass of messaging. And this is a message that makes no sense. And these people, press conference after press conference, hour after hour, pushing the same message. And really, to me, what yesterday was, yes, like whether it's about impeaching Mayorkas or whatever, to me, what you saw was Donald Trump knowing, like in the middle of the night, he's saying, starts the presidential immunity crap on Truth Social, because he knows he's been told by his lawyers that ruling is coming. And he's like, okay, full court press, like push every other message but what's going on. And you saw the Republicans successfully distract from the fact that the Federal Court of Appeals said, no, you don't have presidential immunity. And not just said it, but if you read that 57-page ruling, very masterfully struck it down. And what the Republicans did was distract from that from sun up to sundown successfully.
Literally, yeah, you got Marge still, like, Marge had a bad day. I thought, I saw a lot of coverage. I thought, honestly, that you did the best job. I thought that your analysis of how this all was unfolding and pointing out that this was just
gaslighting.
16 hours of gaslighting. I thought your messaging, if you guys haven't seen Felice's content yet, like, go see it. But like, you nailed it. You nailed it. That's what this was intended to do. And Marge, from the very start, I think we ought to start with Marge. Getting upset.
I was thinking, I have a suggestion about this. Like, we could start, because actually this outline goes in reverse order. But if you start, or hold on, I know which one it is. If we start at like 62 and go up, like go back down, like 62, 61, 60, like that is the chronological order of this day. Like,
yeah, I like how you said you had an idea, like we're not just always going to do your idea because it's always better. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Well, no, I just think it, like, because it was amazing watching, like, from the minute we got done with our live yesterday, I was like, I could not believe the amount of content, like what in the 24-hour news cycle there. I mean, it's insurmountable amounts of content, but for the amount that was already out at 1 p.m., it was terrible. There was 5 days of content out before 1 p.m. from the Republicans. Like,
yeah.
So in a way, they were very successful at what they were doing.
As far as, if their goal was to put out a lot of content.
Yeah, well, I mean, what does Steve Bannon call it? Flooding the airwaves. Flooding the airwaves with shit. So nobody pays attention to the truth. Like, they did it. I mean, that was a masterclass of it. I mean, they were supposed to impeach Mayorkas. Like, what we found out in the end is the Republicans cannot count. Like, do not go to the floor, Mike Johnson, without the goddamn votes. Like, what is wrong with these people?
Well, we'll get to it. I need to read 2 comments real quick. Chelsea sent a donation for her Antifa membership dues.
Nice.
And I'm going to assume this is... I'm sorry. I have to read this. I like from I like rubbing rolled up rugs with righteous rhythm while I'm riled up on really rancid ragweed.
Oh, I love consonants. That's a I don't toy with me with a literary device.
So that's a thing. That's a thing that I just read live on there.
Great.
All right,
That's
let's
great.
start with 62. Let me make sure there was no
Well, we
other
don't have
ones.
to. I mean, we don't. I'm not saying we have to go through all these. Like these are. It's a lot of clips, but we can even just read some of them. I just want to. Like this started out in the morning with several press conferences, which we don't. We can go through them. I just call them gaslighting. I mean, you could tell they're like, who wants to go to a press conference and gaslight the American public? Like, and of course, right? It's the Gates 8. You
Who
know,
wants to go to a press conference?
had the
All their
time?
hands shot up. What are we saying? We're there. Whatever we
Excuse
need to
me,
say.
guys. We need people to gaslight the American public all day long in shifts. Like, who is prepared to do that?
You know what? I don't know if this really happens at interventions. I've never been part of an intervention. People probably should.
I think I probably
have an
was, but it was
intervention.
for me, and I didn't
I was going to
realize
say
it.
people should have interventions for me, probably. But that's what it reminded me of. It's just like everybody taking turns. Like, tell everybody how Joe Biden hurt your feelings. And it was just like 16 hours of Republicans explaining how Joe Biden hurts their feelings.
Yeah, and it started, early morning with Matt Gaetz saying that him and Elise Stefanik have another resolution, the least successful Congress of all time. We could be fixing the border, but instead they have another House resolution. That's what we need, another bullshit resolution from these people that will ceremonially say that Donald Trump is not an insurrectionist. So we start with this clip.
Yeah, let's get those clips. This is fucking insanity. This broke.
Well, I mean,
this
it's
broke
all
at
a
the
mixture.
End.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this
they're not
broke
on
at the
one
end of
ministry.
our live yesterday, and I think I was like, what are they introducing this for? Like, I do not understand what this is.
It was like a 2-hour press conference.
Yeah, and when you hear it, it was praise and worship. It was people emotionally appealing to the greatness of Donald Trump. It was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Like, these are grown-ups. These are grown-up people that are just taking time out of their job to praise Donald Trump and introduce a resolution. Gunther Eagleman.
Let's just hear it.
Yeah. Let me, real quick though. Oh, Gunther Eagleman, who's a lunatic on X, he does this, and you'll notice this with the people on X that are big on right-wing spaces. What they've started doing is they'll make a list of things, and they're like, here's a list of things that are true. The election was stolen. The earth is flat. And they will just name like 8 things that aren't true. And that's what they're all doing now. They're just going to keep repeating it in hopes that someday that will make it true.
Okay, here we go.
Are here today to authoritatively express.
Wait, I gotta say this. The funniest thing about Matt Gaetz is, well, also probably one of his only redeeming qualities. There are none once you become a child trafficker, but allegedly.
It's the rumor.
Yeah.
We don't have an opinion
Listen
on
to
that.
how he says, we're here today. The very first thing he says, we're here today to authoritatively express. Everything he says after that are complete lies. But with authority, it's hilarious. Matt Gaetz is funny. I mean, if he wasn't a monster.
Today to authoritatively express that President Trump did not commit an insurrection.
Yes, he did.
And we believe Congress has a unique role in making that declaration. It's not the job
They
of the
do not.
states, and especially not the job of some bureaucrats in Colorado, to make this assessment and interfere with the rights
Yes,
of
it is.
voters to cast their vote for the candidate of their choice. The very experts who often get on television and talk about securing democracy seem to be the first to want to then remove a candidate from the ballot because they're
Correct.
afraid that he is too popular.
That's
Wrong.
not what it is.
63 co-sponsors to the resolution that Ms. Stefanik and I will be filing today to express the sense of Congress that President Trump did not commit an insurrection. I want to express my gratitude to Senator Vance for filing the companion legislation over in the Senate. And now is time for members of the House and Senate.
Then he kind of just rambles on and he just kind of rambles on.
time.
But what the? is that? Like, talk about gaslighting. Just let's start it out with, hey, I'm here to deny I'm here to deny the events that you all witnessed with your eyes on television.
Authoritatively
expressed.
Everything he said was the opposite. I hadn't heard that clip yet. That's awful, exactly. Huh? That was an amazing setup. I said they just list things that aren't true. I hadn't heard that clip yet, and he just did it. He's like, it is not the role of the voters and the bureaucrats on the state level to remove somebody from the ballot. No, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's fucking exactly who it is, and that's what the court case said too. Two court cases so far have been like, yeah, no, these are the people that get to decide. And he's like, you know who should decide it? Fucking Congress. That's you have no idea how bad this is gonna get. You think that, like, Matt Gaetz is insane. So then after saying that, which it's like, that's the worst thing, it can't get worse. Then his new argument, instead of like, because the whole point of this is like, we have a right for our votes to be counted as American citizens. So Matt Gaetz' new gaslighting theory now is that, you guys weren't harmed. The real harm, the insurrection harmed us. We were the ones in Congress, and we're saying we're not scared. We weren't scared on J6. No.
So since we were the victims, even though the victims are us, that's the point. We have a right for our votes to be counted. The American people are the victims, but he's gaslighting us and saying, you guys aren't the victims. Congress is the victims. And we're saying the insurrection was no big deal. It was a bunch of tourists, so it's not a problem.
Well, if you remember on January 6th, when people were trying to break into the Capitol, all the Republicans Democrats hid while the Republicans stood bravely and fought hand-to-hand combat against the insurrectionists. Josh Hawley ran. I think he just got bad. Hawley. See, he gets a bad rap because I think Josh Hawley just got bad directions. He was clearly running to stop the insurrection. He wasn't running out the back door at full speed.
He got lost.
Yeah.
He got lost. He meant to defend everyone.
While you're pulling up this clip, this is from Jack. Jack wants me to say, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you, we've been rickrolled. So that's the start of today.
That's awesome.
Oh, Jack's back at it.
Where's my clip? Because it's so good.
Jack has a question for you.
Oh,
Where do dads keep all their dad jokes?
Where?
In the database.
Oh my God. My dad doesn't know what a database is, though. So he would be like, what?
Oh, Jack, that's
okay.
good.
So here's Matt Gaetz. All the stuff I was just yelling. Listen to Matt Gaetz. The gaslighting is so offensive. This is my thing. Do not insult my intelligence. My entire childhood was like my parents gaslighting me, pretending that the reality that I was seeing was not happening. And like, if there's one pet peeve of
PTSD
mine,
for you.
it's like, I know what's happening. Like, do not insult my intelligence and tell me that there's an alternate reality going on. And that's what yesterday was. Listen to Matt Gaetz. Here's alternate reality number 2.
No, I think that it would be incredibly helpful legally if we were to adopt this provision. I've been the victim of federal crimes. I know what it's like. Prosecutors regularly consult the...
Sorry, we got to pause for that one. You've victimized people and committed federal crimes, Matt. But that was a nice try, Matt.
Crime was he a victim of?
Yeah, remember when someone threw wine at him and he got them charged with a felony? I'm sure that's what he's talking about.
You know what I think remember when these allegations first came out? This is what I think he's referencing. When these allegations first came out, Matt Gaetz had this counter narrative that the FBI was spying on him and his dad, and that somebody had like extorted him for money. Do you remember
spying on him and saw him trafficking a child. Like, whatever, Matt Gaetz.
And then tried to extort money from him. Maybe. I guess that's maybe true. Maybe he's a victim of extortion, but like based on a lot of evidence that he didn't want out.
Or his girlfriend, because that's part of it. Like, that's what's implied, is that he was dating someone on Capitol Hill, like that worked on Capitol Hill, just like an aide or something. And, a staffer. And she found out about it and was furious. I don't know what she did, but and she's the hostile witness.
Listen, we should all be wary. We should at least all be aware that who we're dating, who we're with, that there's like a hidden version of them. Maybe they can be vindictive.
Yes, we should be aware of that.
And we should be, and to Matt Gaetz, you should be hyper fucking aware of that if your ex knows that you cheated on her with somebody that's underage. I think
No, it's not extorting you if someone's like, I morally need to tell someone that you were trafficking a child.
Yeah. So generally speaking, Matt Gaetz, one, don't traffic children. That's step one. Don't goddamn do that. And step two, don't try and threaten everybody and gaslight everybody, because those who know the story, when they watch you gaslight, eventually their feelings for you fade. And like that oh, well, he's a good guy, even though it didn't work out. Eventually, when people have enough distance between you and them, all that gaslighting that you did, all that preparation that you did to make sure that the people around you thought you were a good person, that fades. And then they're like, oh shit, I remember now, I was dating a trafficker. And now, then she shows up. They didn't track her down. She showed up. She's like, hey guys, I got some shit to say.
Well, and then she retracted because he bribed her, probably. Like, she retracted.
But now she's back.
Yeah. Well, no, she's being subpoenaed now. They're calling her before the ethics committee she's as a hostile witness. Okay, so here's Matt. Let's try to get through Matt Gaetz gaslighting us.
No, I think that it would be incredibly helpful legally if we were to adopt this provision. I've been the victim of federal crimes. I know what it's like when prosecutors regularly consult the victim to understand what the victim's expectations are. If we're the purported victim in Congress and we're saying this was not an insurrection, I think that would hold a great deal of weight. Yes.
Do you understand what he's saying? He's saying because people broke into the Capitol and they were the ones in there, and now they're denying what happened and saying that it was a bunch of tourists taking pictures.
I've read the charges.
Yeah.
Guess what? You're not the victim, bitch.
Exactly.
You're not the charge is that he tried to engage in an insurrection to overthrow the will of the people. It doesn't say a goddamn thing about Matt Gaetz. You're not the victim, Matt Gaetz.
Read the indictment.
Yeah, you're one of the victims, but like we are the victims here. They're like the American people, the Constitution, those are the victims. 2 quick comments before we move on. Grammar Hole, who's your favorite, said, how'd you get your main account back? I don't know. I really, honest to God, don't know.
It's a Christmas miracle.
And then this was from Scott. Scott says, preemptive shushies for any MAGAs. So.
Always appropriate. Okay, so that happened. So then I just want you to prepare yourselves because the gaslighting continues. Then Margarine steps up to the mic, and she doesn't need a mic because she's screaming hysterically.
We heard her. See, Felice didn't actually hear the recording. She just could hear Marge from where she was at.
I can't believe she really. And the thing to know about Margarine yesterday, if you didn't, spend your whole life watching this unfold every second, she thought, that yesterday was supposed to be Margarine's like victory, that was gonna be her like, look at me, like how Matt Gaetz got all the glory and all the fundraising for impeaching McCarthy. Yesterday was going to be her victory lap and be like, look what I've done. Margarine, she looks like she basically was just run over by a car most days. She's even brush her hair. She doesn't even brush her hair, which no shade to that. Like, I don't either. So I'm not saying it for that reason, but I'm saying Margarine came in a new red blazer yesterday. Like, this was her moment to shine. And that's the best part, because right now when she's gaslighting us in these clips, she still thinks that she's on top, right? This ended with Marge on the steps of the Capitol, like, just trying to slink away in shame while reporters like followed her and asked her questions about her failing. It's hilarious.
Poor Marge.
Okay. It's so bad.
Democrats and dishonest people in the media every single day accuse President Trump of waging an insurrection and accuse many of us of waging an insurrection, and you're doing nothing but lying and selling the lies of the Democrats, all for campaigns and elections. Shame on every single person that has done that.
Shame.
Shame on you. You need to tell the truth. You have the freedom of press, one of the greatest rights in this entire world. And anyone that puts the word insurrectionist, calls President Trump an insurrectionist, and calls any of us an insurrectionist is a liar, and you do not deserve the power that you possess. Shame on you.
The freedom of the press.
Shame on us. Shame on you, you lying hag. Like,
The freedom
are
of the
you
press.
joking? The gaslighting, though, just standing up there and having the nerve to deny reality we all saw with our eyes.
I appreciate that she references the First Amendment with the freedom of press,
I know.
and then says that those who stand opposed to MAGA and to margarine do not deserve the right. You understand? She's saying
she's
that
contradicting herself.
if you call anybody an insurrectionist, that is an insurrectionist, by the way, you no longer should be granted the right to the freedom of speech and the freedom of press. That's where we're at, folks. We're just doing like open fascism now. And Marge doesn't know that.
And shame on all of us, right?
Yeah,
Not
it's on
shame
us.
on these people who have the nerve to victimize us all and lie to us about it day after day. Shame on all of us for pointing out reality. That's... How dare we? How dare we? Oh my God. This is just prepare yourself. I apologize. Guys, let's tap the screen too. Let's get to 60K.
Mika, thank you for the donation.
People.
Oh, sorry. God,
Oh,
that
you're
was
good.
so loud. Go ahead.
No, just Mika, thank you for the donation for celebrating the main
Thanks,
account being
Mika.
back up. Let's go. I agree, Mika. Let's go.
Let's prepare yourselves.
And then the American people who pay for elections with their tax dollars actually
Yep.
own the elections and have the right to care about their elections, election integrity, and the results of their elections. When they came to Washington and protested, all of you called it an insurrection. And then when Joe Biden was inaugurated, and this entire Capitol complex was surrounded with 30,000 National Guard troops.
Yeah.
None of you stood there and called that an insurrection.
Because it wasn't.
Oh, no. You all stayed silent.
We all stayed silent that the inauguration
Yeah.
of the president was not an insurrection. Yes, we did. What are you talking about?
Marge stayed silent about it. First of all, these dumb bitches think that there's no difference between protesting and breaking into the Capitol. Like, why have they gotten to this point? That's what I want to know with Marge. Like, I would like to know with all of these Republicans, how can you sit there with a straight face and say dumb shit like this? Like, of course it's not an insurrection if you don't try and overturn the fucking government and break into Congress. Of course it's different. If there were 50 million people outside the White House protesting Joe Biden, but they didn't try and break in, it's not a goddamn insurrection. If they are just using their voice, it's not an insurrection. If they are not trying to overthrow the government, it is not an insurrection. I think maybe somebody told Marge the insurrection just means like people showing up, and she's like, oh, okay. Well, there's people showing up
invitation.
everywhere. Look at the insurrection every day at lunchtime at In-N-Out Burger. That's what? We're not going to prosecute those people, but you can't just go to the Capitol and take a tour? Like,
Taylor Swift's Eras Tour is just a series of insurrections.
Oh my God, all the insurrections. So many insurrections.
Okay, just one more insane clip. This is short.
Let me give you guys a little history lesson, okay?
She's giving us a history lesson, everyone.
There we go.
We're getting a history lesson from somebody who knows no history.
Let me give you guys a little history lesson, okay? When President Trump was inaugurated, Antifa and leftist rioters nearly burned down Washington, D.C. Did you call it an insurrection?
Pause. What the fuck is she talking about? What is she talking about?
She's giving us a history lesson, Jay.
I know, but I Googled it. Did Washington, D.C. almost burn down? No. What is she talking about?
Alternative facts.
This is the hysteria.
That's what I'm saying.
Of a woman who is deep in MAGA and views all opposition as there to hurt her. Like, she just thinks everybody's there. They showed up and they protested. And they almost burned it to the ground. Do you know how far, like even if there were 54 fires, that's still not close to burning DC to the ground. There weren't 54 fires, checked. I don't know if there was one fire. I can't figure out what the Christ she is talking about. What is she talking about?
I think she might have been meaning to talk about BLM. I don't know what she was saying. I just think it's hilarious. Like, and people are asking why she was screaming. Yes, people at the press conference standing behind her, clearly on their faces, were also wondering that. Nobody else was screaming. Like at this press conference, mind you. Like,
I was screaming.
Else was, I know, I was screaming inside. And everybody else was talking in a normal voice. And she just kept like getting up to the microphone in between other people and screaming things.
She was in, listen, this might not have been the day she intended it to be, but I think it's fair to say Marjorie Taylor Greene was the star of the day. I think it's fair to say that. She did not expect any of that to happen. That's why it's so funny, because she's so sure of herself in the morning, yelling complete lies, and just like, this is my day, I'm impeaching Mayorkas, I'm gonna yell lies, like I might become the VP from this, you know what I mean? Like that's what she's thinking, and it just didn't go her way. Let's switch to your girl Bobo, because she also tried to do the same thing at this press conference. I don't think Bobo has it in her anymore. You know what I mean? There's a lot of quit in her, and that's one of the things I appreciate about my boo. This is which reminds me, Mark sent money for a little donation for me to take Bobo to the Beetlejuice show.
Oh, that's so nice, Mark.
That's old Sully there in the comments. So thank you, Mark. Me and Bobo are gonna really enjoy that.
The other people sitting in the audience will not, but
we also have a donation from William for Margarine the DC pipe bomber. From the rug, the bike is busted and the rug is my favorite. And to Sean for just praise. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you guys.
Amazing.
You guys are killing me.
Okay, here we go. Let's switch.
This is a witch hunt against President Trump. It's absolutely.
Lauren said witch hunt like 5,000 times yesterday. Every clip she was on shows, just witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt.
Oh, baby,
that's her favorite word.
So good.
Yeah, she's trying. She doesn't have the same terrifying like decibel to her voice that Marjorie has.
This is a witch hunt against President Trump. It's absolutely unprecedented. And the woke mob, the fake news, and the leftist government officials who are engaging in this extortion should be downright ashamed of themselves. All of the
extortion.
Who is extorting him? Lauren, what are you talking about?
Are we extorting votes?
She doesn't know what extortion means.
By telling the truth to the American people, they are choosing not to vote for Donald Trump. You are extorting the votes.
Well, I think to the MAGA, anytime they're faced with accountability, it's extortion. Like extorting the truth from them. Like it's like forcing them to tell the truth is extortion. Okay.
They tried to rig the 2020 election.
Here we go.
By sending out hundreds of thousands of ballots illegally. Many. They colluded with the government and big tech to censor
Time out. Pause.
The Hunter Biden laptop story.
She had to get the laptop in there. The laptop has been entered into evidence. What?
Keep going. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
They colluded with the government and big tech to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story. We know that Democrats would have changed their votes had they been informed about Hunter Biden's laptop.
We know it.
Yeah, that's right. That's what happened. We weren't voting because we saw J6 and we're like, this is, she was right when she said it was unprecedented. She did have the word unprecedented in there.
There's no way. That was an accident. There's no way my baby used that word right. There's no way.
God.
The left is afraid. And now
the left is afraid.
The left is afraid. And now they are trying again to rig another election by interfering in this political witch hunt.
It is a political witch hunt. You're right there, Lauren. You had it right. She said we're trying to rig another election by interfering in a political witch hunt. You guys are on a political witch hunt. She called the impeaching of Mayorkas a witch hunt, which is very true.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank the courts, the witnesses, the law, and the Constitution for joining us on this witch hunt against Donald Trump. It's been very nice being able to use legal remedies to get rid of this piece of shit. But yeah, that's if we've learned anything about this country, is that our founding fathers set up our Constitution specifically to one day use as a witch hunt against Donald Trump, and it's great. I'm glad that the founding fathers had the foresight to stop this MAGA America First moment. The founding fathers clearly did not want freedom. And
it's amazing how
nice.
they just project all of their crimes onto us. Like the Democrats are rigging another election. Are we? Are we? Or are you?
We brought in Taylor Swift. We called in the big dogs.
Yeah, it's serious now. We have Taylor Swift. Okay, so let's see. What do we want to pivot to? So that's the press conference. Now, the Senate also had a press conference, which for the Senate, things are different with Mitch McConnell. I think one of the funnier moments was one of the reporters, and I think I have the clip somewhere. Mitch McConnell's hilarious because one of the reporters was basically like, Ted Cruz effing hates you. And he's like, I think we all know that Ted Cruz is not a fan. Like, Mitch is so funny because, like, he just understands what's important to him. Like, you always think, like, people are like, well, Mitch McConnell hates Donald Trump. Like, maybe he won't help Donald Trump, like, kill the border bill. Well, the thing Mitch McConnell loves more than anything is winning elections. Like, he doesn't.
His favorite thing.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Which is why he doesn't like Ted Cruz. 'Cause Ted Cruz keeps getting in the way. And now Ted Cruz is calling for Mitch McConnell to be removed. By the way, Chris, thank you for the donation. Wants the money to go towards a new broom for margarine, which I think is warranted. And then Chelsea, this is
broom to ride around on from meeting to meeting.
Yeah, I think this is for me and Bobo for Plan B and vape juice. Well wishes to the happy couple.
So that's gonna make for a nice Saturday night.
Yeah.
Senator Ted Cruz had a press conference around noon today, said that you shouldn't have even tried to negotiate with Democrats, said this bill was designed to fail, and that it's time for you to step down as GOP leader. What's your response to that?
I think we can all agree that Senator Cruz is not a fan.
You should have seen them all. The golden boy, John Thune, who's like 2 feet taller than everyone else in the Senate, is just standing behind him, like laughing hysterically. Because it's like, Ted Cruz is not real. Like, people like MAGA.
Not real.
Well, I mean, like, he holds no real power in the Senate.
Yeah.
Like, that's what people, like, as far as, like, Mitch McConnell has consolidated more power in Washington, D.C. than any other probably human in modern history. And so to have, it's just, you can see in their reactions, like, Ted Cruz is like a fly buzzing around, Mitch McConnell. Like, it's a joke to them.
Yeah, like, I don't have a fly swatter. I'll take care of it later. But ultimately, guys, it's fine. It's just a fly. Like, it might land on your food. It's gonna annoy the shit out of you, but eventually the fly will be gone. The fly has a short shelf life, just like it appears maybe Ted Cruz has a short shelf life, which is terrific.
We can only freaking hope. Okay,
can we just? I just want to keep hammering this home. This party is falling the fuck apart.
It is.
Like, the party is imploding right before our very eyes. And to the MAGAs that aren't here, because
come talk to us.
Listen,
tap the screen, guys. Let's get to 80K.
I know we can. Look, there's plenty of blame to go around. You can blame Mitch McConnell. You can blame Ted Cruz. You can blame Bobo. You can blame Kevin McCarthy. You can blame Mitt Romney. But none of this was a problem until you started worshiping Donald Trump. He fucked this whole thing up, and you guys are like, it's everybody but him. There's one common denominator in all the problems, and that's that orange fucking turd that you guys keep trying to elect.
Well, comes down to, like, the math not like they can't do math. Like that's always been MAGA's problem is math. And the problem is like when you say to MAGA, Donald Trump tore the Republican Party apart, the reaction is, yeah. Like,
Yeah, which none
but
of
the
them
problem is, if you guys were counting people, then you would know that you guys had an almost unbreakable, well, previously unbreakable consolidated seat of power in the Republican Party, where you wackos had a place there on the fringe. But when you split apart the Republican Party, right? You guys have no power any longer. Even you think it's great he exploded the party. Well, you have no power anymore.
It turns out that the people shouting the loudest about rhinos are the people who are least likely to run a successful party, to legislate successfully. And we have evidence of that. The current House, which yesterday tried to impeach Mayorkas. And I don't know if you have this clip, but from Marge, she this is now her claim of dirty politics. She said that the Democrats were hiding one of their members, like behind a chair or something,
No,
so that they
she
couldn't
didn't
get the
say-
count right.
Well, basically, the Democrats have a member who was in the hospital. He was having minor surgery, and there's always the same number of people, but they were trying to figure out, no one knew when they were going. First of all, they did not have to go to the floor. No, the Republicans never had to go to the floor without the votes, like 100%.
You don't go until you have the
They could
votes.
have just had a closed door meeting and talked about the numbers and cast ballots inside a closed door meeting. They did not have to humiliate themselves. But then they decided to go to the floor. And what they didn't understand was that this man was getting out of the hospital and voted. They just
he was hiding.
miscounted. Like,
No.
it's your job as the whip and Mike Johnson, the speaker, to understand the count. That is your only fucking
Nice
job.
try, Felice. Nice fucking try. They were hiding that member.
Yeah, they were
Okay?
hiding someone who had surgery. He came and voted, though. I heard he didn't even have shoes on. Like he
Well,
wheeled in.
yeah.
He wheeled in from the hospital.
Well, yeah. Would you wear shoes if you were hiding? You want to be able to move.
Yeah, they had him in a
stealthily.
broom closet somewhere.
With Marge's broom.
But but it wasn't just the count, just to understand. It's not just to understand the count of the Democrats and who is there or not there, but they were counting on the Democrats not being there. That's not how you do it. You count on them being there. And the Republicans didn't have, namely a couple people, but Steve Scalise was in the hospital, and they risked it because they were counting on the Democrat being in the hospital, and he was not. And so that's how it basically went down. They were counting we can sneak this vote in while this Democrat's in the hospital, and that way we can get it done, because with razor thin margins on any given day, anyone can be absent and mess up a vote. And they messed up the count. This is basic stuff. Nancy Pelosi had the same razor thin margins, never messed up a count on a vote. Not one time.
It's that MAGA impulse control. You put people like Marge in charge, and she says things, and she thinks people believe her, and she thinks that she just thinks she's gonna show up and say some shit and be compelling, and it's gonna work. Impulse control. They're like, no, we have to go do the vote now. You know that there's Republicans there that were like, hey, we're not gonna have the votes here. You could ask. You knew the 3 people who were going to vote nay. You knew that. You know. Kevin McCarthy, they're not around, but you still go to the floor anyways? Cute. And maybe they're not as dumb as we thought. Maybe they knew they were going to lose, so they just said, fuck it, we'll do it, and then we'll hold press conferences all day. But that, best case scenario, that's the Republican Party.
They thought they had
knew
it.
They would lose.
Of a day, and they did it. They were successfully distracting from Donald Trump's legal woes, and then the crowning achievement was going to be this impeachment. And I mean, something so simple they messed up. Like you can't write this stuff anymore. But let's go through the day. Let's stick with chronological order because this got worse and worse. Like there's congressional hearings going on, and all anyone's doing is fighting. I mean, you could say fight, whatever you want to say, but this is hilarious. So, well, I'm trying to think.
I pull that up. Airborne Mom, thank you for the donation and for the comment. Let's go Chiefs and Taylor. I don't really endorse that.
Let's go Taylor and the yeah. I will endorse that.
I didn't love that.
I loved it. Thank you. Well, okay. So in this congressional hearing, Jamie Raskin, you know, because he's the ranking member in the hearing, everyone's giving Jamie Raskin their, you know, a minute of their time at the end of their time so he can attack Marjorie just relentlessly is going after her. Like, and even, I will say this, even James Comer, because, you know, nobody likes Marjorie, even James Comer, who was the chairman in the meeting, was like, you could just see everybody was laughing. Like, it was relentless. Robert Garcia and, like, Jamie Raskin just tag teaming her. Every single thing she said, they would just be like, well, you're an idiot, so...
And by the way, Marge, for some reason, was sitting all alone as well. Like, nobody was even willing to sit with her.
Because they didn't want to do this. Mayorkas, a lot of the Republicans, I mean, that's what the Capitol, like, all the punch bowl, like, nobody wants to be involved in the impeaching of Mayorkas. Like, it might look good for some of them. It might work for some of them. That's why they were voting for it. But they know that there's no grounds for it. It's dirty business. Like no one was feeling good about what they were doing.
I don't know if it's even dirty business. It's dumb business. Like this is just stupidity. Like it's too stupid to be dirty. Like dirty politics usually are clever. This isn't clever. This is just dumb.
Okay, so I'm just going to play. Here's one of the times when Raskin went in. Well, I have a couple funny ones, but here's one of the times where he really went in on her. And this is something, this clip we should all just keep on tap for our MAGA friends. This is him explaining the differences between hostages and criminals.
Our colleagues, the gentlelady from Georgia, described the January 6th insurrectionists, who I know are close to her heart, as political prisoners and as hostages. I'm sorry, the Proud Boys are not political prisoners like Nelson Mandela or Alexander Solzhenitsyn. The Oath Keepers are not hostages like the people being held, Israelis and Americans being held by Hamas. A hostage is someone who has been illegally abducted by a criminal organization and held for a financial or a political ransom. And the thought that they would compare people, a majority of whom have pled guilty for assaulting federal officers, destroying federal property, or engaging in seditious conspiracy, which means conspiracy to overthrow the government, to hostages or to political prisoners, demonstrates the complete collapse of critical thinking skills on that side of the aisle. I would hope some of Ms. Greene's colleagues, and not just on the Democratic side, but on the Republican side, would at least disassociate themselves from the claim that the convicted January 6th insurrectionists are political prisoners or hostages. I know that Donald Trump has trafficked in such foul abuse. I know that Elise Stefanik has repeated his claims for her own reasons, but I would hope that others would maintain the essential semantic, logical, rational, and moral distinction between people who have been convicted of assaulting our officers and people who've been abducted by terrorist organizations. I thank the gentleman from Texas, and I yield back.
God, that's like literal foreplay to me. Like, please, God.
Little bump paddling.
Yeah, if someone wants to turn me on, just start talking about the difference between hostages and criminals. Like, that's amazing.
We laugh a lot, and Marge and many MAGA Republicans are remarkably stupid. But this isn't even stupid. This is them taking the side of people who, whether Marge believes that Donald Trump was part of this plan to overthrow the government or not, and whether you do or not, these people did have a plan. It didn't work because they're MAGA, because they're stupid, but these people actually did have a plan. Not all of them, but when we talk about the Proud Boys, when you talk about the Oath Keepers, like, they had a plan. You can read it. And
Yeah.
their plan was to use...
They were caught with it.
Yeah, their plan was to use all these dumb MAGA stooges who do whatever they're told to push through and break in. Like, I recognize that many of the people there on January 6th, probably most of the people there on January 6th, were unaware of the plan that was about to unfold, but they still engaged in it. And I don't think that we need to coddle them because they're stupid. Like, some stupid people go to prison.
Stupid criminals go to prison all the time.
It's not a defense. If you go to a judge and you're like, hey, judge, I know I committed a crime, but I'm goddamn stupid. He's like, well, I agree, and maybe you might get a lighter sentence because you were tricked into it, but it's still a crime. And that's what's that's what's disgusting about the people who continue to talk about the January 6th insurrectionists as hostages. And the only reason, let's be very clear on this, the only reason they're doing that is because if those people are innocent, they have a step, or not a step, something to stand on. What am I trying to say? A step to stand on.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, they are able to say that if these people are innocent, Donald Trump is innocent. Because if there was no insurrection, then Donald Trump can't have engaged in an insurrection. The problem is, if these people engaged in an insurrection and Donald Trump knew, he had been pre-warned about it, maybe he wasn't in on the planning, but he knew people were planning violence. He knew that they had got a permit and they lied about the permit. He knew they lied about the permit, that they would be on the permit, that they would be walking down to the Capitol. He knew that there were requests and a need for National Guard, and he didn't do any of that. So Marge has a choice, and Republicans have a choice, and what they now have to do is defend actual criminals who, like, we watched it. It's on television. It's on YouTube. You can watch the fucking clips.
Really doesn't come in handy for them that we have eyes.
Yeah, he knew whatever you want to say, like however far you want to take what Donald Trump knew. At the very least, he knew that there were threats of violence, and he did nothing to stop it. That's the very least.
Well, and not to go with the most, just the real facts of this are Jack Smith has filed in federal court in the case that is not going to be dismissed because Donald Trump does not have presidential immunity from his crimes. Jack Smith already filed in court and said specifically, I know that Donald Trump knew there was an insurrection, that he planned it, and I can prove it. So we all have that to look forward to. He already said it in court filings.
Correct. John Rutter says, bang, bang, Niner gang. I agree. Sorry, I went full name
Someone's
there.
asking what you're drinking.
Oh, this is delightful. This is bubbly coconut pineapple. It's, you can see that it's delightful. Kimberly just wanted to let us know. I read in articles that said the GOP only knew 2 votes for no. Gallagher surprised them, and they spent the rest of the vote time trying to convince him to change his vote. I was unaware of that. You probably knew that.
Oh, no. Yeah, I did know. But I mean,
2 more.
And that the only other part of this goes to just show, like, one person did. It's not him that changes. It's not Gallagher. They were trying to convince Gallagher to change back because what's his name? Brandon. Hold on. I can look up his name. Brandon is the one that changed his vote later, which begs the question, like, they just didn't understand why the vote changed, but we would have had a tie anyways. But
Gallagher's just there to smash watermelons.
Let me.
While you pull that up, Jeremy says for Jay's Monster energy drink habit, that's a real problem. Thank you for contributing to that. And Chris says, you have to
Blake Moore. That's who it is. Blake Moore switched his vote.
Okay. I have to say this loudly and proudly. Niners are going to eat doo-doo. Go Chiefs. I did not like that.
Oh, that was great. I liked it. The Niners have won enough. Like, I mean, so have the Chiefs. I can't even make that claim. But the Niners, I had to watch the Niners beat the Cardinals enough.
And this is from Loretta. This is the comment of the day. This donation was for Marjorie Taylor Greene's CrossFit business, known as Burning CrossFit.
Oh my God, that's okay. I get it. I get what you're doing there. Yeah. So the no vote. So Ken Buck and Tom McClintock, they're the ones that campaigned all week and said we're not going to do this. Then Mike Gallagher was a no, but he was on the fence. Like he's said, like, I don't know, they all know that there's no reason to impeach Mayorkas. And then Blake Moore switched his vote, and that really them over. And but even if Gallagher had switched, it still would have been a tie. But yeah, so
right.
and that just, the only other question to really think about was like, it seems like possibly when Blake Moore switched his vote, like maybe the Republicans on some level knew they did not want to impeach Mayorkas, the moderates. Do you know what I mean? And like, they're like, we need to switch enough votes so that Mayorkas doesn't get impeached. And he was the one that's like, I'll do it.
One of the things that's not talked about very often, because it's just a dirty little secret in Congress, when a party doesn't actually want to vote for something, what they'll do is they'll take almost kind of take turns, right? They'll vote almost unanimously, and then you'll just see enough votes come in for it to fail. And usually it's some moderate that nobody really cares about, somebody that's in a safe district, but like it does happen.
It's people that won't get ousted in the next election.
I don't think Mike Johnson has the chops for this, but I do think that there's likely people in the GOP that were going around saying like, hey, let's make sure we torpedo this. We got to make it look good for old Donnie, but let's make sure we torpedo it. I don't know how else you would have a last minute change of heart like Blake Moore.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. I don't, it's very understood in Congress. What they're saying on Hannity is very different than what they're saying normally. And it's understood that there was no legal reason to impeach Mayorkas. And many of them, like Tom McClintock, these no votes, they're not saying like, Mayorkas is a good guy, let's not impeach him. They're saying there's plenty of bad Republicans who will get impeached if we set this precedent that we could get rid of Mayorkas. They're like, if that's the level now that impeachment that rises to impeaching, then every Republican official will get impeached.
Well, how many? Yeah, I don't know who tweeted it, but I saw a tweet yesterday. It was like, how many of Donald Trump's former cabinet members has he called incompetent? Like, he's actually called them incompetent. Should they have been impeached? Like, but this is that argument that it's weird that this argument is happening on the same day. Donald Trump is arguing that the president should have total immunity to do anything. Otherwise, there will be a precedent set that you just always can go after the president. Meanwhile, the Republicans are setting the stage that if you don't like what somebody is doing, you can impeach them. It's again, speaking out of both sides of your mouth, they have no fucking clue what they're doing. This is a rudderless organization, a directionless organization. They have one direction, and that one direction is while they're on their knees staring up at Donald Trump, just begging for it to work. It's not going to work, guys.
Well, and think about it. Okay, so you're impeaching Dark B's cabinet member who's doing Dark B's bidding, essentially, works for him. So you're going to impeach Mayorkas. You don't know who his deputy, they didn't know in the Rules Committee even who would replace Mayorkas.
No.
But it's someone that's following the same policy, and Donald Trump at the same time, like the argument on Fox yesterday, which was very interesting, was, well, what difference does it make if we impeach Mayorkas? We should be going after Dark Brandon. Like, he's the one that should be impeached. Mayorkas just is enacting the policy that he's creating, which is not true. He hasn't created any immigration policy, but that's, what I mean, or
right.
Whatever. But that's the point. But Donald Trump at the same time, like you're saying, is making the argument that Dark Brandon is blameless and can't be impeached. Like, do you understand how crazy it is to force Congress to waste the 118th Congress trying to impeach Joe Biden while then arguing in front of courts that Joe Biden is innocent because nothing you do during your presidency is illegal? It doesn't make any sense.
I am thrilled that Joe Biden is currently president. I am. Because if Joe Biden, if it was somebody with less respect for how our government functions, you could see him react to these things to get retribution, to turn it around and investigate all of them and try and impeach all of them. The Democrats could do the same thing, right? Like, the Democrats could turn right around and try and, what is this?
What?
That was, what the shit? It said, we've detected inactivity on your live, and it made me do one of those puzzle things.
Oh, I've never seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, anyways, I just appreciate that the Democrats, instead of playing the game that Republicans are playing, that they're just standing there telling the truth, and they're begging to legislate. I don't know that I've ever been proud of being part of a party, but I am now. Like, I'm proud of who the Democrats
you weren't because
are.
you were a Republican. There's nothing to be proud of over there.
Right. Yeah, it's this black shirt. Maybe it's
there
my
is at
shirt
the state
blending.
level occasionally.
No, but I'm proud of them for like staying above the fray. I'm proud of specifically Jamie Raskin, which I hope we'll get back to.
Yeah, we
and
will.
His ability to just ask questions that make Marge mad. Like, they infuriate MAGA by asking good questions, and that's a beautiful thing. That is something that that all of us should aspire to. If you can make somebody mad just by asking questions politically, like if you get somebody to quit because you ask them questions, they can be as mad as they want, but they leave the room knowing they can't answer those questions. And you keep showing that enough, and you see what we're seeing now. You see Donald Trump's numbers fall. You see MAGA's numbers fall. You see them start to implode. Like, you just keep asking the question. Just keep at it. And eventually, enough people are going to realize these are morons.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here is, like I said, they're in a congressional hearing and they're just tormenting Margarine, and she's just getting more and more, because she's hysterical. That's her baseline. So, like, it's just like she couldn't take any more. Even James Comer was laughing at her.
I've never seen a more deflated waddle in my life than when she waddled out of the house.
And they all laughed at her.
And they all laughed. Yeah.
Including James Comer.
All of us walk around under the protection of good guys with guns. Capitol Police carry those AR-15s and guard all of us, but yet Democrats would love to take away the gun rights of American citizens and blame guns that never get up by themselves and shoot people.
That never get up by themselves and it's just, what did she talk?
Yeah, what's she talking about? She's probably talking about that legislation that Democrats put forward to take guns away.
Well, they're talking about violent crime. That's like that. They're just talking about crime, like in this instance, and then she's just making her dumbass case again. Just that had nothing to do with anything.
I've told this story before, but this messaging is so effective for Republicans. It's one of their most effective ones. I told you there's a guy I know that served in the military with Mark Kelly, endorsed him, was on his commercials endorsing him here, and told me, like, I'll never vote for Mark Kelly because he wants to take away my guns. Like, he trusts him. Mark Kelly's like, we're not doing that. I'm not coming after your guns. And one of his best friends who endorsed him was on his commercial, said, like, I'm not going to vote for this guy. He's going to take away our guns. It's an effective, like, message for Republicans. The fear mongering is real. But the truth is, like, in our lifetime, nobody's really tried to take away the guns. Nobody.
Yeah, but it's also ridiculous because we have children every day who have to go to school terrified of being unalived at every moment. And that's on every single one of us, especially all of you gun owners. So congratulations. Like, you're deteriorating the mental health, like systematically destroying the mental health of every child in public school, or actually in schools in general, because this happens actually in Christian schools, as we learned in Tennessee as well. But anyways, let's move on to JB Raskin driving.
Did you finish that clip?
No, well, that's just her hysterically yelling things. But I'm just playing clip. I was just playing that more to like lead up to just, she keeps saying crazy things in this hearing, and then again they're just trying to ask her questions like about the nutty stuff she's saying, and she loses her mind.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Will the gentlelady yield for a question?
No, I will not yield to one of your stupid questions that are always attacking me and attacking President Trump.
How about a mediocre question?
No, I do not want your question.
An excellent question?
No.
A smart question?
No, my time.
An intelligent question?
You have no smart or intelligent questions. Mr. Chairman.
God, they were laughing hysterically.
Play just the last 3 seconds.
Intelligent question?
You have no smart or intelligent questions. Mr. Chairman,
That's James Comer's laugh that you hear there.
Yeah, Comer laughed hysterically.
He's sitting next to Raskin together. Like, picture this. You have all the ranking members up at the top. Marge is down here. There's and then you have what's his name? What was who were the two Democrats down there?
Garcia
and whoever. They're two here. Marge is here all by herself, and the entire top row
Swalwell
is fucking losing it. While Raskin's just like, will you yield to a question? And her going off. Everybody's laughing at Marge.
And then every time someone speaks after that, because we don't have to get into like a ton of these, but every time someone speaks after that, they just point out that she left.
Yeah.
Well, if Margarine wanted to come back, we could ask her.
Teresa sent a donation for Felice to buy a delightful, refreshing drink.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, well, there's a couple more good clips here, so.
Chair now recognizing Mr. Garcia for 5 minutes.
Thank you. That was a lot.
This is after Margaret stormed out and they're all laughing at her.
That was a lot.
That was a lot.
Chair now recognizing Mr. Garcia for 5 minutes.
Thank you. That was a lot. I want to remind the gentle lady that it was her that actually organized a trip to the DC jail to hug and high five and sit with the insurrectionists that actually attacked our Capitol. So if we're talking about the safety of DC and the Capitol, it's just quite, I think, ironic. This is all facts. This is quite ironic that the insurrectionists that had tried to overthrow our government in the capital city were being coddled.
Oopsies, I ruined it. Sorry.
Nationwide.
Quick, while you're reloading that, just a message from Jen. Jen wants just to remind you that she does have the power to drop people from the panel, and she doesn't want to hear much more Niner slander out of you. So
I don't slander the Niners. My slander against them is that they win too much.
Us Niner fans are very sensitive, so anything we perceive as slander is going to be slander to us. Okay? We're much like Marge.
All I said is that they win too much. But okay.
Remind the gentle lady that it was her Capitol. It's just quite, I think, ironic. This is all facts. This is quite ironic that the insurrectionists that had tried to overthrow our government in the capital city were being coddled. We're actually being coddled by. It's quite a shame that you call them political prisoners or hostages. I think maybe you called them. They actually try to
Mr.
overthrow
Chairman,
our government. Let me continue
Mr.
with
Chairman,
my time.
she's not recognized.
Thank you. So I think it's quite interesting that my colleague tried to talk about the safety of D.C. When she literally supported an insurrection, an attack on the Capitol, visited the prisoners. I was there as one of two Democrats there as part of that visit on behalf of this committee, and seeing her high five folks that want to overthrow our government. So quite.
That's when she was storming out. So she was still screaming when they were saying like she's not recognized. She's yelling.
Yeah, like just she's
not at her seat, like just yelling
out.
It's hilarious.
I like to think I teach my daughter. It's my favorite thing I've ever taught her, that when she's mad at any time, if she wants to scream at me, it's fine. She just has to do it into a pillow. And so when I bother her, she'll just like walk over, grab a pillow, and then come back and scream into the pillow. But I imagine that's where Marge went. I imagine Marge just went and screamed into a pillow for like 45 straight minutes.
The whole time she's just thinking like, okay, like later we're going to impeach Mayorkas and I'll be the star. Like that's what she's thinking this whole time. That's what she was clinging to.
Woke up in the mirror. Today's going to be a good day.
Yeah, like I'll endure. Because she knew she was going to be like, for doing this, they were going to go. This is what they've been doing since in every stage of this, in the Homeland Security Committee, in the Rules Committee, they stayed up all night long and wouldn't let her leave and made her sit there while they read amendments they wrote talking shit about her.
Everybody believes you, Marge. We're gonna impeach Mayorkas. Donald Trump's gonna come back into office. We're gonna make America great again. You can do this, Marge. That's her giving herself
That was
a pep talk in the
Garcia,
morning.
Robert Garcia, the guy that was just talking, and Swalwell stayed up all night long. I went to bed at till 4:30 Eastern, just reading a beds they had written of just.
You
shit
did not
talking.
go to bed. I don't believe that you went to bed.
I did say I stayed up. Well, I mean, it was only up till like 1:30 my time, so like 3:30, and I was like, these two are insane. I can't believe they're doing this, but that's what she deserves it. So she woke up. She knew she was gonna get a lot of shit, but in her mind, she's like, but then we're gonna impeach Mayorkas, and I'm gonna get to go on Newsmax and be the star.
Well,
She was trying to fundraise off it all day.
Listen, Marge, you were a star. She was a star yesterday. I think we have to give her that.
She was.
It
for
may not have
sure
been
a
for
star.
why. It may not be for what she wanted to be a star for, but Marge, you were a star. A shooting star.
I mean, she was just shamed. Like, and I just want to say, like, I do think what you said was super true about even Comer was in a good mood yesterday, and he was like, just trying to be like, just asking questions to Robert Garcia, and it turns into Comer getting shamed. Like, he was like, well, asking a good question, what he thinks is a gotcha about crime, and then ends up, getting embarrassed about Kentucky's crime. It's like, it's interesting, like just asking questions and answering them is so detrimental to these people because there's no answers.
It was such a silly day. I think you kind of nailed it. Like there are Republicans who are insane. There are Republicans who just like they're power hungry, and then there's Republicans that are there to legislate. Very few are there to legislate. There's some in the middle that like they may be sane, but they want power. Now I think Comer is one of those people. But nobody serious took yesterday serious. When they held these press conferences, it wasn't serious people. It was Matt Gaetz. It was Marjorie Taylor Greene.
It was the Gaetz Eight.
It was Bobo. It was Ronnie. Goddamn, Ronnie Jackson.
And the leadership.
Ronnie Jackson's
he's
7-minute just worship of Donald Trump was one of the most insane things. And by the way, he was
out of his mind,
some
man.
shit.
What they call him
know.
named him Candyman when he was the White House doctor.
I'm
Read
just
the
saying.
articles. I make up
Where's
the
your
name.
friends, Ronnie?
He
Because
overprescribed people who pass out at their desks.
Ronnie was seeing shit in 90/90 vision. His pupils were just taking up all his face. He's like, Donald Trump is the greatest president of my lifetime ever in this country. He's wonderful.
That's why I buy Junior's podcast. His number one guest is Ronnie Jackson, and they just are whacked out of their minds, like sometimes up, sometimes down. Like they'll be screaming at each other, and then one will fall asleep, and you're just like, what is going on? This must have been what the White House was like. This is what those articles are describing. Like, yeah, I can't do Ronnie Jackson's too nuts. Like that's what he does. He vacillates between worshiping Trump and his other job in his district is he alerts people to drag shows. I have noticed that. Yeah. When he hears about a drag show, he lets everyone know.
Doing the Lord's work. Yeah,
just alerting people that there's drag shows in his district. That's your congressman.
Which is probably convenient because he probably already had that app. He's probably going incognito to those anyways. Because
I know. Why do you know where every drag show is? Make it make sense.
Nobody that hates drag that much doesn't have a fetish for drag, and they're just they hate themselves for it because it's against their beliefs. But nobody hates drag or any of these issues. Nobody hates these issues without having their own things that they're ashamed of. That's what drives this type of hatred.
Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 150K. Okay. And so now I want to play. The best part is, so the other thing that was going on besides the congressional hearings is when they're going to try to impeach someone, people get a say in that. Everyone gets 5 minutes on the floor to say whatever they want about it. And so
literally whatever they want.
Yeah, whatever they want about it. So, and I'm not going to play, one of the funniest things that happens is, so the ranking members, right? Someone can say something, and if they're not going to use all their time, then they can give extra time to someone who uses it to basically shame whoever from the other party is speaking. So Chip Roy's just doing what Chip Roy does, yelling about being a fiscal conservative and just gaslighting. And then said Jim McGovern, because like that is something I always say about Republicans. Like, this is 10 minutes I'll never have back. Like, Chip Roy talked for 5 minutes, and then Jim McGovern just is like, that's 10 minutes none of us will ever have back.
Yeah, it's plenty.
Listen to this. It's hilarious.
That's why we're here. And the Secretary of Homeland Security deserves to be held to account. I rise in support. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Texas reserves. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Massachusetts.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, the gentleman from Texas just took almost 10 minutes, 10 minutes of my life, which I'll never get back.
That's why we're here.
Just like these people are hilarious.
Jim McGovern
is my favorite person. Well, and JB Rask. It's hard to choose.
He's so dry with his humor. It's beautiful. It's I appreciate how the Democrats are handling this. Like, if they don't react hysterically, it wins. Like, them responding calmly and just openly mocking this, like, it's such a winning message. It plays right to the audience. Like, if there's people that are on the fence about any of this, who are undereducated on these issues, and they happen to tune in, they're going to see MAGA Republicans screaming into the void, and they're going to see Democrats laughing and being like, all right, that's pretty fucking crazy. Next. Like, they're just handling it so well. They truly are the adults in the room.
Yeah, for sure. Truly.
Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
I want to find... Wait, not this. Oh, sorry. We're on clip.
While she's finding that, just a reminder, we are participating in CoinCot, so no gifts are available. We do want to bring up any opposition who is here. You're welcome to talk about how you feel about the day yesterday, how you feel Republicans did trying to impeach Mayorkas. If you're upset that Donald Trump's not allowed to commit any crime he wants to and get away with it, great. Secondly, if you do decide to donate, there's Venmo and Cash App. We will read, within reason, we'll read any message you put to go along with the donation. But mostly, just if there's MAGA in here, chat, do your thing. Troll the shit out of them.
We would like to talk to a Republican, right? Also, moderate Republicans, anyone that wants to critique what we're saying, we welcome. Okay, so this is what I want to play, which is another thing similar to what I was talking about. They're on the House floor. Republicans are saying a bunch of BS. And then, oh God, what is his name? Benny Thompson, who's hilarious. He's an African-American, I think from North Carolina.
I heard Benny Thompson, but my
funny.
head went Benny Johnson, and I was immediately depressed.
Oh,
but
no,
Benny
gross.
Thompson, we're good. Yeah.
Yeah, so listen to him, like Margarine's on the House floor talking crazy talk, and then listen to what he says after she sits down.
Own the policies of murder and crime of American citizens, or they can admit Secretary Mayorkas has broken federal laws and vote to impeach Secretary Mayorkas.
Gentleman's time has expired.
I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Mississippi is recognized.
Oh, from Mississippi.
Madam Speaker, though she sits on the Homeland Security Committee, Representative Margaret Taylor Greene has raised doubts about 9/11 to the false assertion that 9/11 was done by our own government. She said that's all true. She also thinks Jewish space lasers cause wildfires. She fundraises off defunding the FBI. She's a person whose advice Republicans are taking today on this impeachment. I now yield 1 minute to the gentleman from California.
Like, it's every time Margaret spoke, they're just like, this person's an idiot.
And then they'll yield. Who did they yield to there from California? Who was that?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember who came after.
The deflation on Marjorie's face every time somebody would just cut to Jamie Raskin. Yeah, she's like, fuck. Every time she would just sink lower and lower into her seat, which is impressive. Somebody that's built like a rectangle It's pretty amazing the way that they're able to contort their body and get smaller. She built like a rectangle, became a square. Is it breaking up for you?
Someone asked for Jared Moskowitz. I only have one Jared Moskowitz clip. What'd you say?
On my end, you're breaking up really bad. Is that happening to anybody else?
I don't.
It's frozen for a second. Is it me that's frozen? She's frozen? Okay. She'll be back. Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying today.
Sorry, I was just checking. I'm just checking my internet connection. Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I'm just making sure.
Kelly said.
Yeah, I can hear you. So I don't know.
Kelly just wants to tell everybody's cats that she said. Psst, psst, psst. I think that's what the sound was. Sorry if I messed that up. It's PS.
Someone asked, "What about Jared Moskowitz?" I only have one clip of Jared Moskowitz. I will play it for you now. This is him in that the James Comer hearing where everyone was screaming at Marge.
It's President Trump himself that says, quite frankly, his hiring procedures were quite terrible. John Bolton, who worked in the Trump administration, Trump called him a wacko and a sick puppy. Jeff Sessions, who was hired by Donald Trump, was called mentally unqualified. John Kelly, who was hired by Donald Trump, Trump said he was way over his head. Rex Tillerson, who was hired by Donald Trump, he was dumb as a rock. Quite frankly, it's President Trump.
That's the point. Should we impeach we should have impeached, impeach Mayorkas because he's incompetent. Well, Donald Trump himself listed every single person that worked in his cabinet as incompetent.
Hearing Republicans speak is just like being in the comment section of Twitter or Facebook, where people just say loudly and proudly say dumb shit, like specifically things like impeachment and treason and like dereliction of duty. They don't understand what any of this is because, one, they don't understand what their role is. They don't know what Mayorkas is supposed to do. None of them understand that. They don't know what legislators are supposed to do. They don't know what any of these people are supposed to do. So what they see is somebody that they can blame a problem on, and then they're like, impeach. They have no idea what words mean. That's the real problem here with Republicans. If somebody could just sit them down for a little bit and be like, we're going to give you government 101 class. Here's what certain terms mean. Here's what the fuck treason is.
But that's what you're supposed to do in your first couple years in Congress. Instead of all this BS they're doing, this is when they're supposed to be learning the rules. And you learn the rules so you can be effective and do things what you saw the Democrats do yesterday, which is subvert an impeachment vote somehow through managing the numbers of the vote extremely well and getting a guy out of the hospital.
Intelligence is a motherfucker. Sue says, send a donation for a bag of poo to attract Ted Cruz and also to hold the Republican Party together.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sue.
That bag of poo will fill right at home.
That's correct. And then there was one more before we go to the next one. This is for Kai. For you have all lost the game. Also, drink some water.
I'm hydrating a lot.
Yeah,
I'm
really drinking bubbly water, if that counts. Thank you.
Okay, so also I just want to throw this out. I don't know if anyone saw this, but when the vote was tied at 215, George Santos took a picture of it and tweeted, "Miss me yet?" Sent it to you. I literally sent it to you. So the fact that you're now saying this to me as if I didn't send you that message.
When did you send that to me?
Maybe it's another man. I don't know.
I do see. I didn't realize that was. I saw the picture and I was like, I don't know what. I thought you were showing me the votes on that because it has the scoreboard. I thought you were just showing me the votes. I didn't even read above.
No,
that
above that,
George
yeah.
Santos.
Says, George Santos took a picture when the vote was tied 215 and said, "Miss me yet?"
Listen,
just
George,
trolling the Republicans.
Somebody get that guy on our show, please.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be. It is a disgrace, that he's being interviewed on CNN and stuff. We shouldn't be interviewing someone under federal indictment. I mean, as far as it's hard for me with him. It's very hard, but he is so entertaining. Like, he is amazingly entertaining. He's just...
Look, I love him. You know me, though. I love a good mess. I love a mess.
Yeah, and the sad part is, I mean, we can talk about this because it's one of the things we need to talk about, is the sad part is when, instead of learning something from any of this, like all the many failures that have led the Republican Party to that failed impeachment vote yesterday, like, instead of learning something, after this vote failed, and we can go into Marjorie in a little bit, but what I want to focus on first is Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, you know, because he has a second job moonlighting as he's a host on Newsmax, just like Ted Cruz. We have people with complete other jobs, like between trafficking and working at Newsmax. And so, you know, Matt Gaetz, his opinions, and all they got from this is not, you know, is number one. Well, first of all, let me just play these for you because it's wild. First of all, I'll play the one about
Wouldn't it have been nice to still have Kevin McCarthy in the House of Representatives? Never thought you'd hear me say that, but Kevin McCarthy...
Yeah, Matt, it would have been nice, but you ousted him because you were mad because you allegedly are a child trafficker and he would not table the ethics investigation against you. And now you've admitted publicly that it wasn't anything to do with actual politics. It was because of that you called for the motion to vacate. So Kevin McCarthy not being there yesterday, instead of realizing and piping down, Matt Gaetz is again gaslighting us. This is the continued gaslighting. The man who ousted him as speaker and put in another ineffectual speaker is talking about why Kevin McCarthy isn't there to cast a vote. Listen to what he says too. It's wild.
I have something to add when
to
that's
still
done.
have Kevin McCarthy.
Do you want to? Oh, go ahead. We can.
No, I want to add it at the end of this. It's the same
House
subject.
of Representatives. Never thought you'd hear me say that, but Kevin McCarthy, after being dislodged as speaker, took his marbles and went home. He would have been a reliable vote for impeachment, but if he wasn't speaker, he wasn't willing to stick around. And I think that the errant expulsion of Santos and the abject selfishness of Kevin McCarthy contributed to this result as much as the 3 Republican members who voted no sincerely.
Yeah. Also contributing was the fact that this whole exercise was really fucking dumb. That's the part that they're not addressing, is that this was really fucking stupid. But Matt Gaetz, who we both agree is smart and calculating and sometimes clever, he tweeted an endorsement of Kevin McCarthy yesterday. Did you see that? Yeah. It's the most backhanded compliment I've ever seen. But
that's what all this is. He's just he's still trolling Kevin McCarthy. Yeah. He's still sticking the knife in and turning it.
Well, it gets worse. It might be a sword. He said, "I fully endorse Kevin McCarthy for RNC chair. As we know, like Ronna McDaniel is stepping down. Kevin is well organized and a very high revenue fundraiser. He will also be well liked by the RNC committee." Okay, good endorsement. Now we
isn't there to cast a vote. Listen to what he says too. It's wild.
I have something to add when that's
still have Kevin McCarthy.
Do you want to? Oh, go ahead. We can.
No, I want to add it at the end of this. It's the same
House
subject.
of Representatives. Never thought you'd hear me say that, but Kevin McCarthy, after being dislodged as speaker, took his marbles and went home. He would have been a reliable vote for impeachment, but if he wasn't speaker, he wasn't willing to stick around. And I think that the errant expulsion of Santos and the abject selfishness of Kevin McCarthy contributed to this result as much as the 3 Republican members who voted no sincerely.
You're Yeah. Also contributing was the fact that this whole exercise was really fucking dumb. That's the part that they're not addressing, is that this was really fucking stupid. But Matt Gaetz, who we both agree is smart and calculating and sometimes clever, he tweeted an endorsement of Kevin McCarthy yesterday. Did you see that? Yeah. It's the most backhanded compliment I've ever seen. But
that's what all this is. He's just he's still trolling Kevin McCarthy. Yeah. He's still sticking the knife in and turning it.
Well, it gets worse. It might be a sword. He said, "I fully endorse Kevin McCarthy for RNC chair." As we know, like Ronna McDaniel is stepping down. Kevin is well organized and a very high revenue fundraiser. He will also be well liked by the RNC committee. Okay, good endorsement. Now we get to it. The RNC chair doesn't make any policy decisions, set any agenda, or negotiate against Democrats. Ever. Kevin would be terrific. That's kind of funny, to be honest.
But also, Matt Gaetz is the reason we're in this situation. So, like, just think, Matt Gaetz, the only person you have to blame for Kevin McCarthy not being there is quite literally yourself. And then the other thing that's interesting is when we're sitting here, well, now I want to play this other clip real quick, and then we'll talk about George Santos and what is messed up and why we're being gaslit about that.
I got to tell you, Bowling, as I'm watching that board and it's 215 to 215, I have never missed George Santos more. Like, and what irony that the New York Republicans who drove Santos out of Congress, who are watching the children in their state being driven out of schools so that those schools can become migrant housing centers, that now we don't get to execute on an impeachment trial of Mayorkas. Because, trust me.
Yeah, This is literally saying, like, the Republican Party has no sense of right and wrong. They welcome criminals. That's what they're saying. Matt Gaetz is saying, see, this guy charged with felony upon felony. What is it, 25 felonies or something? Like, how much is Santos charged with? Like, it's insane how many felonies this guy is charged with. And instead of acknowledging, like, yeah, the New York Republicans had to get rid of Santos because they were being threatened with being ousted in their next elections by their constituents for about how unethical it was that they weren't pushing him out of Congress. Like, there's no sense of right and wrong here. They're like, bring back in the criminal. Don't we all miss him? Like, yeah, you guys are all criminals. Like, that's kind of the point.
Yeah, we're all probably, well, not all. I don't think you're actually guilty of this. I certainly sometimes am guilty of this. But if in order to explain the problem, like, you have to talk about another issue in order to make your issue seem like it matters, then you don't have a very good argument. Like, to point to children not going to school because we have asylum seekers using that school for housing as a way to be like, oh, they don't care about that.
They're holding up the funding right now also.
Right, but they don't care about that, but they care about getting rid of Santos. Yeah, fucking yeah. Yeah, we want people to not be out on the streets when it's freezing goddamn cold. And we gave your kids a 2-day vacation. Sorry, Republican parents. I know you don't want to watch your own children and talk to them. I get that. I understand that. And we're deeply sorry about that. But that doesn't mean we should overlook 25 if that's the number, 25 felonies from George Santos. Like, this is not an argument. And Matt Gaetz knows that. Everybody knows that. But that's the whole point, right? These people are trained. They are given a script. They are given a list of things to deflect to every single time. I just want to point out that I am likely guilty of doing this. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm likely guilty of it. And I think it's fair game for Republicans when I do that to say that's not a very good argument. But that's not a good argument, Matt Gaetz.
It's a 23 count indictment, 23 felony charges. Sorry, okay. Not 25.
Oh, Michael Jordan, what's up? He's the Michael Jordan of felony charges.
Well, that's Donald Trump.
23 was Jordan's number. That's where I came up.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're doing there. Okay, so moving on. What I want to talk about now. Well, now we can talk about margarine. Well, okay. I can't really show this, but like the videos of, so first the impeachment vote failed, and the video when Mike Johnson had to say that vote failed, his face, like he is literally like, he's not made for this. McCarthy is a shark. You know what I mean? Yeah. He got outplayed. Like, that was a bad hand, but McCarthy is bored to swim in that swamp. You know what I mean? Like Mike Johnson is not equipped for this in any way. He looks like a lost, scared kid when that vote failed.
He is a lost, scared kid. He's somebody who has been under the thumb of like extreme Christianity his whole life. He's directionless. He waits for his directions from the Bible, from his church leaders. He's a great shadows guy. MAGA Mike is somebody that stays in the back and does what they're told. You don't make that person speaker. You don't. Because the speaker's job, like this, what he should have been doing this whole time, if he really wanted to take it seriously, is he should have said, "Hey, yeah, that Senate bill that's coming over, we're gonna go through it and we're gonna consider it. Thank you guys for the Senate bill. Thank you for the bipartisanship. We're gonna go through it." And then reject it, because that's what he wanted to do anyways. But the problem with MAGA Mike is like he is almost too honest to be speaker. Like he just tells the truth about what he thinks, and that's a problem because what he thinks is really stupid.
Yeah, so his face, and then, like, if you don't know, immediately after that, which flies in the face of all the Senate's work on the bill that they just finished and all the negotiating. And actually, let's just get into it, because, like, just to explain that, if you guys don't know, it was the House the Republicans in general who, like, originally day one in office, they needed funding for the border. They denied Biden, and then they're trying to get funding, like, for Ukraine. That's being held up. And they said, Republicans said, well, we need to tie this together. If you want funding for Ukraine, the only way we are willing to give that to you is if there are significant changes to the border. If you give us a border bill, right, and tie that to Ukraine and Israel funding, then we will give you the funding. It was Republicans that wanted this entire thing. They said, the guy we have that's toughest on the border is Lankford. Who do you want to negotiate for Democrats? They said Chris Murphy. He said Sinema will assist me. Right? And they said, get this done and you will have your money for Ukraine. That's how all of this started. Right? And then they completely, like, they can never be trusted again. The Democrats will never, ever do anything they say again, because you've proved that you're complete liars. Like,
show me a group of 3 people in Washington you could bring together that would represent bipartisanship better than those 3. Chris Murphy on the left, Sinema, who's right down the goddamn middle, and James Lankford, who's very conservative. I don't want to say he's like alt-right, but he's very conservative. Like, this brought together the views of everybody in this country outside of, like, communists and white nationalists. Like, they weren't heard, but everybody else essentially was heard with this, and they're like, and they still can't come to an agreement. I don't know what to tell you poor Republicans that are in here who are forced to defend this every day, and you're going to vote for these people again. I don't know what to tell you, but, like, stop listening to stupid people. Get better Republicans. If you want to keep voting Republican, just vote for better ones, please.
So instead of just saying, like Jay said, okay, thanks, we asked for this bill, you guys have worked, like, they were explaining, Chris Murphy was explaining in a video that's too long to really go into. He was on the Senate floor yesterday, furious, and he was explaining, like, how they have completely hung Lankford out to dry. He was endorsed by Trump in 2022, was the toughest they had on the border completely. Chris Murphy was explaining they didn't go home for Christmas, like, or just for the days of Christmas, but they stayed there every single day. They worked on this on weekends since November, since like all through November, December, and basically it was all a lie. And instead of Mike Johnson just saying, like you said, hey, thanks for doing this bill that you've been working on for months, we're going to review it, said, no, we won't review it. After he lost that impeachment vote, immediately after, they voted on a standalone bill for funding to Israel, and that failed too. Like, you just don't understand. This was such a failure. And let me see if I screenshotted.
It was the MAGA in our chat and on our live yesterday. I could have sworn, and correct me if I'm wrong, I could have sworn that what their complaint was is that the border bill didn't pass and they wanted it standalone. We don't want to do anything for Israel or Ukraine until our border's taken care of. And MAGA's response to a bipartisan bill, which takes care of all 3, is to do what? They put up a bill to do what? To fund Israel. Did they put up a bill for the border? Like, for the MAGA people who were that pissed off yesterday that we can't ask for aid to Israel or Ukraine until the border's done. Explain that shit to me. Explain to me how MAGA Republicans then put up a bill to fund Israel standing alone before a bill for the border was done. They refused to negotiate a deal for the border. They refused to do anything about the border, and then they proposed legislation to fund Israel. What are you guys listening to? You don't fucking care about this. You don't care about the border. The only people in this country that give a goddamn about the border are Democrats. And the reason we give a goddamn about the border is not because we're afraid of people coming across the border.
It's not because we're racist.
Yes, we actually care about our border patrol. We actually care about these border states. We actually care about places like Chicago and New York that act as sanctuary cities, but they can't accommodate this any longer. We're the ones that care. At every step of the way, it's Democrats doing something to be human and to try and fix a problem. And every step that they take, Republicans are standing in their way. This is a rudderless ship. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They just obstruct. And it's not even a good plan at this point. Nobody there has a plan. They can't come together. They can't be unified. They don't care about anything other than Donald Trump. And what's that going to get you? A blowout fucking loss in 2024. Knock it off, MAGA. Wake the fuck up. You're losing everywhere. There is not a single place you guys have won since 2016. You're just getting blasted every single time. And now your response to that is, oh, you know what we need more of? We need more Marjorie fucking Taylor Greene.
We need more standalone bills that fail. Like, I love how Mac is like, we need standalone bills. You guys never pass any. You guys never have successfully, because all your standalone bills are just anti-trans bills and censoring people because, like McGovern said, they can't use Google Translate correctly. Like, This is a disaster. Like, the standalone bills aren't working. Least successful Congress in history couldn't pass a standalone bill for aid to Israel.
And let's talk. Let's be real fucking honest about that too. Of the three things that you can be principled upon, on these three things, the border, Ukraine, and Israel, the only one where our funding is going to harm people is Israel. Us funding Israel is going to lead to
that's of course what they want too.
Exactly.
You know, their priority is to harm people. Why am I shocked by that?
Yeah, what's wrong with this border bill? Oh, it's not going to cause the unalivings of enough people. What's wrong with the funding Ukraine? Oh, well, if we fund Ukraine, then the Russians can't unalive more people. What about Israel? Good idea. The more we fund Israel,
ethnic cleansing,
the more bodies.
Great. Bring in the ethnic cleansing. That sounds good to us. That's more up our alley.
That's where Republicans
and they failed. And they failed at that. That's the point. I want to read. This is Mike Johnson slunk out. Like, he didn't even stay for. Oh, go ahead.
One more point on that. Remember that the Republicans' response, we covered this yesterday with Bobo, their alternate bill includes nothing but cruelty towards immigrants. Nothing. The only thing that Republicans seem to ever unify on is unaliving, attacking, maiming brown people. That's it.
So funny.
That's all they want to do is hurt brown people. I will not hear another word about we like immigration, just legal immigration. Bull goddamn shit you do. You just want to hurt brown people. And if you want to throw off that scent, if you want us to believe that that's not the case, then maybe show us one time that you're human.
Prove it. Yeah. Prove us wrong that you don't want to only hurt brown people. The border bill. Oh, let's take a look. Oh, it doesn't hurt enough brown people. Sorry. That's literally what it was. Mike Johnson didn't even stay for the end of the Israel vote. Like, when they saw that it was going to fail, he left. Like, he didn't even hit the gavel at the end of it, which I wouldn't want to either after the way he looked after the first failure. And I don't have the tweet, but just like I follow a network of Capitol Hill staffers, you know, because that's all the best gossip. Oh, God.
I wanted to ask you a question about that Mike Johnson thing, about him running away. What's his job, Felice? Is his job to oversee that vote? Is his job to read the vote? Is his job to gavel it?
I mean, he can assign a pro temp speaker in the moment, but he shouldn't. He probably should have. I mean, he's supposed to be leading the caucus, and at that time they're failing miserably together, and he should have stayed in there and led and like saved face. But no, he slunk out.
Yeah, when you lose, stay there. When you lose, show that this is democracy.
He's not a leader. He's not a leader in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
His new thing. I don't know if just like I said, so this kind of goes along with that. I follow a network of congressional staffers because these people know everything if you want to know what goes on in DC, you just got to follow all of the congressional staffers you can, or read the Capitol Hill blogs. But what are the funny things the staffers talk about now and the congressional reporters is Mike Johnson, if he leaves his office or is walking from one room in Capitol Hill to another, he now is, they say, pretending to be on the phone. He fakes phone calls so the press can't stop him and talk to him anymore.
I do that.
Yeah, it's hilarious because he can't even face the press anymore because he's terrible. Like you said, he's a terrible liar. So now he's just actively avoiding the press. And one of the interesting things, one of the Capitol Hill staffers, it was actually a Democratic staffer, because they're all friends. It's not about Republican and Democrat. A lot of them work for opposite sides sometimes. But right. One of them, a Democratic staffer was saying, "Oh, I just got this text message," and had screenshotted it from a Republican staffer that basically said, if the Israel vote fails, vacate, meaning motion to they're going to try to get rid of Johnson, which would be I mean, I don't know if it's real, but that's what one of the Republican staffers was saying his boss was saying. And this is so Mike Johnson ran and hid, and this is his, and then put out a post, his official thing on the failure, not of the failure to impeach, but the failure of the Israel aid package. Listen to, who do you think Johnson blames? Do you think we're taking any responsibility for anything? He says,
for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You're going to play that. This is it. Here's the accountability.
Okay, cool.
The decision by President Biden and Leader Schumer to torpedo this bill to aid the Israeli people in their fight against Hamas is a disappointing rebuke to our closest ally in the Middle East at their time of great need. After nearly 4 months of waiting for the Senate to act, House Republicans working in good faith placed a clean the House at any moment, right? They are the ones that can pass funding. That's not true what he's saying. After nearly 4 months of waiting that they never had to wait because the House can write legislation at any point. The problem is they won't write bipartisan legislation. House Republicans, working in good faith, placed a clean, standalone bill on the floor. A major concession we were willing to make, given the gravity of the situation, to address Democrats' stated concerns with the prior aid package. Democrats have been unable to present any substantive policy objection in the current legislation. It is clear they are now committed to using Israel aid as leverage to force through every other priorities that do not enjoy nearly the same degree of consensus. Leveraging Israel aid as it fights for survival is wrong. The White House and congressional Democrats should be ashamed. Someone should be ashamed, Mike. Someone should be ashamed.
Now, just to be clear, trying to decipher that, MAGA Mike is upset that they're using Israel as leverage to get done all these other things they want to do, like fixing the border,
which again, Republicans said, the only way we'll fund Israel and Ukraine is if you guys tack on border reform. Again, so it was Mike Johnson who originally made the deal for the bill that now they presented, and he's like, we never wanted this. This is complete gaslighting. None of this is real.
Can I make you happy?
Yeah.
This will make you happy. That message from the GOP aide about vacating, right? That was tweeted out. AOC has responded to that and retweeted. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay. I love her so much. She retweeted that comment that says, if we lose the Israel vote after losing Mayorkas impeachment, vacate. And she said, well, it would certainly take the pressure off them scrambling to find new post offices to rename each week, since that's the only thing they can seem to get the votes for.
Oh, good one, AOC. See,
there's a Republican out there. Like, there are Republican staffers that are assigned to find like monuments or post offices to name. Like, that's a real job. That's, in fact, you could argue that the most effective people in the 118th Congress have been whoever's responsibility it is to find post offices that don't have a name yet. Those are the most successful people in the GOP.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Like, we're in hell, basically.
One more thing. When I was a Republican, there was like during the Tea Party, there was this idea that like people like Mike Lee and Rand Paul and Ted Cruz that would just vote no on all spending bills, that was like a net benefit to the government, right? That just having the government do nothing makes things better. Well, now we have that. Like, we're seeing the Tea Partiers, the MAGA, the obstructionists, because a lot of those people wound up in MAGA. How's it working for you? How's that work for you? You're not getting a goddamn thing done. We can't address the border. We can't address Israel. We can't address Ukraine. Why? Because you guys won't vote on anything. So for everybody who thinks that that's like a good hypothesis, and like the dumb, privileged, fake libertarians that pretend that like, oh, well, I'm all for it because if the government does nothing, that's better. Well, no, it's not. It's not. Our government needs to do shit. It's a big goddamn country. It's 350 million people here. The government needs to act, and they need to be able to act quickly. And Republicans now have their wish. You fill Congress with a bunch of Tea Party MAGAs who don't want to do anything, and then, holy shit, nothing got done? Who could have seen this coming? Who could have seen this coming?
I completely concur with your statement. This is a clown show.
Thank you for validating me. I appreciate it.
Oh, wait. I do have one more Jared Moskowitz clips. That's really funny, actually. I forgot about it. This is not in a congressional hearing, though. This is like in between this or right after, I think this is after the votes. Yeah. He was on Midas Touch on Brett Meiselis's podcast.
But Republicans have the brilliant idea to make Marjorie Taylor Greene one of the impeachment managers.
Yeah, listen, America is demanding more of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I hear it all the time. She's fabulous. Okay, just totally wonderful.
Did you hear what he said? Because Jay was screaming. He's like, she's fabulous. Like, dude, I hear it all the time. She's fabulous.
Demanding more of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I hear it all the time. She's fabulous. Okay, just totally wonderful, charming, right? Just a real people person. Feel like you can connect with her on a real human
That's how I
level,
feel.
right? Very level-headed, doesn't seem angry or bitter, sticks to the facts.
Sticks to the
Truth.
facts.
The darling, quite frankly, of the middle of the country.
Of the middle of the
Republicans
country.
were like, let's feature her on national television. In fact, let's put her in the Senate and let her make the case on why we should impeach a secretary, which hasn't happened in 150 years. I think it's an excellent choice, really, by Speaker Johnson, showing that he really is committed to continuing to destroy the 118th Congress.
Republicans have the
Like, I mean, and you wish it's like that's just all true. It's like we're laughing, but it's like this is where we're at now. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the inmates are running the asylum. Like, there's no highlighting, pushing Marjorie Taylor Greene out to the front. I mean, she's blackmailing them for it. That's what we found out in the Rules Committee from Jim McGovern, is that she's blackmailing them for this impeachment. And that's why now we can talk about Marjorie, like, she's saying, you know, they're going to vote on it and get it a week because she's blackmailing them.
Well, she says she's just mailing them, though, because she doesn't see color. That's what she
that's
said.
a good point. That's a good point. We don't see color. She doesn't acknowledge people's differences, which maybe she should start. But yeah, like, she's saying that this is not over, that in possibly as soon as a week, we're going to be basically she's saying when Steve Scalise is out of the hospital, that'll
fix it.
We're doing this again. And and the scariest part, and who I really feel like, after she, tried to escape the Capitol Hill after her giant failure, and she held this press conference on the Capitol Hill steps. Like, actually, I don't feel bad for them. They shouldn't be Republicans in the first place. But those members who voted no, like, she gave a 7-minute press conference. Like, 4 minutes was basically, like threats.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, oh, I'm not going to have to, because he's like, oh, what are you going to do to them for like voting, and she's like, I'm not going to have to do anything. Like, their constituents and the media and, the pressure campaign they put on them, they're going to threaten to primary them. She's like, oh, I'm sure they're already getting calls, like, because they said the truth that there's no high crime and misdemeanor that Mayorkas violated, and not even saying that he shouldn't, because what they're confused about with impeachment is firing. Maybe Mayorkas should be fired. And that's a conversation we can all have. But it doesn't rise to the level of impeachment.
Who do you think is in charge of replacing Mayorkas? Like, they don't know? They don't know who's going to get to make the decision of who to replace Mayorkas with? Are they unaware of this? Are they unaware of that the same people who put Mayorkas there are going to put somebody else there
to do the same thing?
What's the end goal here? What do you get out of this? Even let's just say somehow
and you could impeach Joe Biden, but we've learned now that presidential immunity won't allow that to happen.
Right. I would like to point out, or just read a few comments. This is from Stacy. This is sent a donation for David, Gorilla, and Eric's MAGA deprogramming fund, which I think is
that's
good.
important. That's important. We're saving up for that. We're going to need a lot of money. We have to build a facility for Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
The real Trump derangement syndrome.
From Perrin.
We'll fix them. We'll save them.
We've got them. Felice might have them. How many MAGAs does it take to change a light bulb? None. Trump says it's fixed, and they stand in the dark and cheer.
They're like, it's so bright in here.
Yeah. There's so much light that we can't hardly believe it. There's so much light that we can't see. It's crazy. It's almost like it's
blinded by the light.
Yeah.
Blinded by the light. That's right. It's so the cognitive dissonance we're all trapped in. But yeah, and I shouldn't feel sorry for them. Like, this is how it goes. And at some point, the moderate Republicans, like, are you made of something? Like, stand up. Like, this is the first time one of them changing their vote shows the moderate Republicans probably decided, like, we're not going to impeach this guy. And again, not because they don't believe Mayorkas. They say he should be fired. But again, if we impeach Mayorkas, then how many Republican cabinet members are going to be impeached? Like, it's just common sense. Let's play do you want to play clips of Margarine screaming?
Yeah, I'd like to just point out quickly, it's 2-0. Okay? Republicans warned us. They threatened us. They said, if you impeach Donald Trump, just wait and see who we impeach. You impeached nobody because you suck at this. You're not good enough at this to impeach anybody. You've tried like 50 times. You're 0 for 50. Like, thanks for the threats. Nobody's afraid of you anymore. You guys can't legislate. You can't run an impeachment hearing. Like, those are the most empty threats possible. It's keep doing it. It's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about you.
It's so embarrassing. Oh, and then the excuse. Here's the excuse of like, wait, hold on. Let's play this clip and then we'll see.
Hid one of these votes that they had, so it wasn't something that people would see. Is that something that Republicans?
I'm glad you asked that because we can basically look at this as a game, unfortunately, and their strategy. And they hid one of their members, waiting to the last minute, watching to see our votes, trying to throw us off on the numbers that we had versus the numbers they had. So yeah, that was a strategy at play tonight.
What she said is that they can't count.
Well, no, it's a good strategy because the problem, if you hide that number till the end, because Republicans, when they count, they have to start at 1 every time. They can't do math. And so when you get to 215 and you're stuck there, and then you see, oh, there's another person, you're like, oh no. And yet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it just, she's right about that. It was a good strategy, knowing that nobody in the Republican Party can do basic arithmetic, that does kind of fuck you up. And I do appreciate them saying hiding somebody being at the hospital and rushing to the Senate or to the House floor is hiding somebody.
This and
now
like
big,
Brian
that's
Tyler
another
Cohen.
just another example of big pharma and big medicine fucking with you. This is big. Now big pharma's in on it.
It's the vaccine.
They allowed him to hide
that's
out.
what happened.
That's
Vaccine
right.
happened again. And so Republicans, like, that's what's important to note. She's saying that the Democrats were hiding some man who was in the hospital, whatever, but saying they were hiding him. When what she really is saying is that the Republicans strategically, very purposely scheduled a vote while a Democrat was undergoing minor surgery. And they thought, because they're not smart, that, you know, if once he went to that hospital, there was no way for him to leave the hospital and come back.
They don't know about Uber.
Yeah.
They don't know about like private cars. They don't know about details that can get somebody in Congress to and from the halls of Congress very quickly.
Like, it's like, oh, they hid someone. Like, we had the same number of people. It's they thought they could sneak in a vote while someone was undergoing surgery, and they were wrong. Like, if you gambled and lost.
If I'm the Democrats from now on, I'm sneaking people in and hiding under desks for every
Just
vote.
pop up.
And then, like, right at the last minute, surprise! And then they vote. I would do it every time.
I wish I could have seen him wheel in. I didn't notice any of it happening. It's hilarious.
That would have had to be a fun moment to watch the faces of Republicans. That would have been a good camera angle.
Of course, my colleagues that voted no, I think they'll be hearing from their constituents. But we have a plan in place. There was a motion to recommit, and that means that we can bring the articles of impeachment back to the floor maybe as early as next week. So this is not over yet, and we still can bring back Steve Scalise, and we hope that he's well and he can come back very soon. We look forward to having him come back, and we look forward to him being a solid yes on impeaching Secretary Mayorkas.
Are they hiding Steve Scalise? Sounds like they're hiding.
Yeah, the Republicans were hiding him at chemo treatment. You know, they're hiding him. That's very underhanded of them to hide someone at chemotherapy treatment. Like, it's unbelievable how stupid these Marjorie, like, they made her an impeachment manager. That's the point that Moskowitz is making. They're not sending their best here. If they in fact did want to take this seriously, this is not the person that should decide when to vote.
There's never an instance where you should make Marjorie Taylor Greene a manager of anything. There's no job where she is qualified to manage other humans or any process. That was a bad move.
Yes, I concur. Anyways, so like that's the general idea of what happened yesterday as it relates to the vote. But I wanted to talk also. So yesterday, I have to say this Nikki Haley thing because I just think it's so funny. And I was reading an article where a bunch of people, Nikki Haley was embarrassed in Nevada. I don't know if anyone saw this. The Nevada primary, which Trump's not on the ballot for because they rigged a Nevada caucus so nobody could try to keep him off the Nevada primary. So Nikki Haley was on the Nevada primary ballot alone and she lost.
Convincingly.
She lost she lost the Nevada primary to none of these candidates. But so none of these candidates got 42,534 votes. That's 62.9% of the votes. Nikki Haley got 20,799 votes. Less than half of none of these candidates, which is kind of funny. But it's Trump voters. Like, I was listening to some interviews of Trump voters that was like, I just vote. It's hilarious.
Well, it's important to remember, too, that whatever percentage, I haven't seen the exit polls from Nevada, if they even have any, but there is a percentage of those votes, probably a good percentage of those votes for Nikki Haley, that they're not going to vote for Donald Trump in a general election. Just want to point that out. Like,
Well,
Nikki Haley was polling in Nevada at less than 1%.
Well, and she never, just to be clear, this is not, like, it's just funny to describe it this way. Nikki Haley never went to Nevada. She did not spend $1 there. They're more mad that she didn't in any way campaign there. She just decided, to focus completely on South Carolina. So she completely skipped it over, and regardless, because she's the only one on the primary ballot, and none of these candidates can't be she's going to be the candidate that they choose from that. Like,
yeah, like it's both a slap in the face to Nikki Haley, who is going to lose to Donald Trump. But I just, if I'm a Trump person, I'm looking at a state that literally rigged an election for Donald Trump. Like, this is the most transparent rigging of an election that has ever existed that I can think of. Like, this is worse than what they did to Bernie Sanders. Like, they're like, oh, we have a primary. Yeah. Oh, but Trump might not be on the ballot, so we're gonna make a caucus and a primary. The primary was useless. They just made up new rules on the fly to protect Donald Trump, and he still has an opponent who's getting, what was it, 29% of the vote or something? Is that what it was? 28, something like that. Anyways,
yeah,
it's not a win.
She got 30.8.
30.
She got 20,799. Yeah, she got 30.8%.
Trump has been campaigning there. Like, he has been doing campaign stops.
He's tons of campaign. They did a whole Turning Point, like, America Fest conference there. Like, yeah, Nevada is Trump land. He doesn't venture into Arizona so much. I think he thinks the proximity might rub off. I think he's wrong. But yeah, and also, we never talked about the Democratic primary in South Carolina. But the one thing I wanted to know, and what we could learn about it, was, number one, D. Phillips is an idiot and no one cares about him. He's like, oh yeah, like, we're going to see now. No, we didn't see anything. You're terrible. But the other thing we learned is what the Republicans said. There was this huge fear that because of Joe Biden's position, which I don't agree with in any way, on Israel, and how it was disenfranchising minority voters from voting for Joe Biden. And what we learned in South Carolina, which a huge percentage of that electorate are African American voters, was that's not the case. Yeah, Joe Biden consolidated and won more votes, more counties, like both in counties where minorities are like highly prevalent and otherwise, consolidated more like votes in largely white counties. So yeah, like, things are all looking good.
It's difficult for Democrats that don't want to vote for Joe Biden. I've heard from some of you, and I totally get it, especially those who are really upset with the way that he's handled things in Israel and Palestine. Like, I get that, but it's hard to make a good argument not to vote against him at this point. Like, he's really like, this is how politics should be. Your campaign should be run off of just what you're doing to help the American people. That's what this campaign is. Like, Donald Trump is running a grievance campaign. He ran a grievance campaign when he was the president. And people are tired of just complaining. Say whatever you want about Joe Biden. We don't have to like him. But I would ask just my Democrat friends here, like, are you happier with Joe Biden Democratic friends, thank you. Are you happier with Joe Biden now than you were when he was elected? I bet most of you say yes. I know I am. And because he's running a re-election campaign while he's governing, while he's trying to get legislation done. He's got a good team that puts out creative ads. He doesn't get bogged down in all this Trump shit. The DOJ has stepped up. By the way, the DOJ, they haven't said anything about any of these court cases. Like, they're not stepping in on the immunity stuff. They didn't step in on the ballot stuff. Like, the DOJ has largely stayed out of this. Joe Biden has largely stayed out of all of these court cases, and he just shows up day after day and says, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm proposing. Here's how the country looks like. Here's what it looked like when I took over. Here's where it's at now. He's building a compelling case that his administration, not him, is doing really, really well. And I think that's something that Democrats largely, like, that's been unifying for Democrats to recognize that we have a deeply flawed candidate who's built a great administration and they're actually getting things done. So we don't have to look at Joe Biden and praise him. We don't have to look at him and worship him. But we can say, like, goddamn, you put a team around him, and that team is getting things done. Even team members who don't align with him on all his issues.
But also, and I think, like, for me, no, anything but obviously ceasefire and the stopping of an ethnic cleansing, like, is unacceptable as it relates to Israel. Like, the good thing about Joe Biden is when he does something and it turns out he's wrong, he pivots, right? And, like, that's... essentially, like, there is backtracking from him, like, especially
he's starting
on
to
Israel.
pivot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, did you have that? You had something about Israel in.
Well, yeah, he's sanctioning people. He's sanctioning people like Israelis who are living in Palestinian-owned or areas, who they're violently attacking and killing Palestinians, and he froze several of their assets, like people that are engaging in killing Palestinians. Israeli settlers is what they call them. He's sanctioning them. He froze all their U.S. assets and like they can't return to this country, etc. Like he is in terms of policy or what he can do. Like we haven't funded Israel essentially. Like, so we can't even talk about that yet. But yeah, like
great. Keep it up, Republicans. That's fine. I'm good with that.
And so then here's the other good, like important things that happened yesterday. So Joe Biden in the morning, and we don't need to play these clips, but he gave a press conference and he's like, I'm hearing that today, that Donald Trump last night, because this was pretty early in the morning yesterday, and he was like, Donald Trump has been relentlessly calling Congress people from the House and the Senate and threatening them, bribing them, and telling them, kill this border bill, and he called it all out, like straight up. Like, did you see any of these clips?
Yeah, I did. I saw them. Let's play them though.
Here.
I was trying to pull 40.
I have them.
Okay.
It's long past time to fix it. That's why months ago I instructed my team to begin negotiations with a bipartisan group of senators to seriously and finally fix our immigration system. For months now, that's what they've done. Working round the clock through the holidays, over the weekends. It's been an extraordinary effort by Senators Langford, Murphy, and Sinema. The result of all this hard work is a bipartisan agreement that represents the most fair, humane reforms in our immigration system in a long time, and the toughest set of reforms to secure the border ever. Now, all indications are this bill won't even move forward to the Senate floor. Why? A simple reason. Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump thinks it's bad for him politically. Therefore, he doesn't, even though it helps the country, he's not for it. He'd rather weaponize this issue than actually solve it. So for the last 24 hours, he's done nothing, I'm told, but reach out to Republicans in the House and the Senate and threaten them and try to intimidate them to vote against this proposal. And it looks like they're caving. Frankly, they owe it to the American people to show some spine and do what they know to be right. So I want to tell the American people... Yeah,
to show some spine and do what they know is right. That's really what this comes down to. Like, are there any Republicans in Congress with a spine left?
No.
Like, where are you at? Because we could pass. I mean, the problem, like, there's also a way, like, right now, Mike Johnson, the new strategy, right? Because if this border bill, the theory is if we got it to the floor, it probably would pass. Many people would probably vote for it. Like, it's pretty, so they don't want it to come to the floor. There is a way to get bills to the floor without going through the rules committee. What is it called? It's called,
I heard it 50 times.
You basically need people to sign like a sort of a petition. And if there has to be a certain amount of enough people that say, we want this bill on the floor, and then it can come to the floor and circumvent the process of the leadership bringing it through the...
Is it the discharge petition?
Yeah, discharge petition. Yeah. Thank you. That's what a discharge petition. Yeah. So they can get a petition and they can try to get the bill to the floor another way. But yeah, like that's the issue is like, how are we going to get this bill to the floor? And I thought that Biden's statements were spot on. Like there's more, like, do you want to hear any more of it? There's more
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. He's been.
Republicans have to decide. For years, they said they want to secure the border. Now they have the strongest border bill this country has ever seen. We're seeing statements about how many oppose the bill now. Look, I understand the former president is desperately trying to stop this bill because he's not interested in solving the border problem. He wants a political issue to run against me on. I've all but said that across the board. No one really denies that I'm aware of. The American people want a solution that puts an end to the empty political rhetoric, which has failed to do anything for so long. We have to get the resources to the border to get the job done. So Republicans have to decide, who do they serve? Donald Trump or the American people? Are they here to solve problems or just weaponize those problems for political purposes? I know my answer. I serve the American people. I'm here to solve problems. It was just months ago that Republicans were asking for this exact bill to deal with the border, to provide support for Ukraine and Israel. And now it's here. And they're saying, never mind. Never mind. Folks, we've got to move past this toxic politics. It's time to stop playing games with the world waiting and watching. And by the way, the world is waiting. The world is watching. They are waiting and watching what we're going to do. We can't continue to let petty partisan politics get in the way of our responsibility. We're a great nation. It's not acting like a great nation. So I'm calling on Congress to pass this bill. Get it to my desk immediately.
Yes. Preach, Biden. He's having a great, the campaign is being run masterfully. Or like you said, it's not running, it's just running itself. Like by putting forth great policy in the beginning of his term, now we're seeing the fruits of it in the economy, and coupled with his union support, which is the next thing I want to segue into. The union leader for the Border Patrol was on Fox yesterday, letting people know that this is a good bill.
I saw the endorsement. I didn't see the clip. Do you have the clip from Fox? I didn't see that.
I have them. You know me.
Oh, I have them.
Of course I have.
How many terabytes do you have?
Union leader speaking on Fox. Rupert Murdoch. That's how you know Rupert Murdoch doesn't like Trump. When in the hell would Rupert Murdoch have a union leader on his show?
He probably told him when he showed up. He's like, this is a one-time thing, right? We're only doing this
don't get
once.
Any ideas. I don't support anything you do.
While you're pulling this up, by the way, this is a union that is not like a typical union that's real friendly to Joe Biden.
They hate Biden. What you need to know about this union, this man that is speaking on Fox has relentlessly criticized Dark Brandon. He's not friendly to him in any way, has never been. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of resentment for this guy for things I've seen him say that I don't feel had it, screaming about things that had nothing to do with Joe Biden. But so just understand, this is not like somebody that Joe Biden cuddles up to. And
I want to give you the chance to tell me in short words what you like about this bill, and then let's go back and forth a little bit with some of the weaknesses.
So there are plenty of weaknesses in here, but there's also a lot of strengths. And when you look right now, what we're currently dealing with, this is a slow month, and we're dealing with 6,700 apprehensions on a daily basis. What this would do is it would cap it to where we couldn't take anything more than 5,000. Now, this does not say that we're going to release 5,000.
Did you hear that, Gorilla?
In fact, it's the exact opposite. It says that we will hold single adults in custody. They will not be subject to release. And so that is a huge deterrent. That will deter an awful lot of people from crossing our borders illegally. We know that the main magnet that people cross our borders is because they're going to be released into the United States. Once you stop that magnet, you will stop an awful lot of people from coming. So although it's not perfect, it is a step in the right direction. And I would rather have the step in the right direction than nothing and consign me to what the status quo is.
I want to give you...
And that is the option that he has. He has this bill that's in front of him that does something or the status quo that the Republicans are offering to him. Imagine being Border Patrol right now and looking at this Republican Party who you've largely been behind. You've been echoing their criticism. You've been happy that they're sharing your message, that they're getting that out there. They're speaking so tough about the border and how much they love Border Patrol. And when push came to shove,
they mocked him and laughed at him.
They didn't do shit for you. Yeah, they decided...
No, they actually laughed at them on Fox and said that, and implied that the only reason Border Patrol Union cared about this was because they're gonna get raises, which isn't even true. It just sets their pay standards or whatever. It's wild. So listen,
the Republicans have a problem with that now too. They have a problem with Border Patrol getting raises.
Paying Border Patrol.
Yeah, that's also a problem now for Republicans. Got it.
Yeah, they back the blue. It's just more hypocrisy. Doesn't make any sense. Oh, they backed the Border Patrol with everything they had in them. They were doing photo ops with them all day, every day. But when it comes down to doing something that's good for Border Patrol and will provide relief and help them detain people, not release people into the country, the opposite. Will we do it? Nope. Republicans won't do it.
What does it do for a president like
Listen to
Trump
this.
or a Republican to get into office? I mean,
she said, what does it do for a president like Trump to get into office? That's what...
It's on everybody's mind. They don't care about the fucking border. They care about Donald Trump getting in office.
Do you hear this, Republicans? You guys are saying this is an invasion. They don't care. They're just saying, how does this help Trump get elected? And watch this guy say the truth. This in no way hamstrings the president at all.
what does it do for a president like Trump or a Republican to get into office? I mean,
it doesn't tie their hands at all.
Perhaps if that were the case, you would get these numbers to be even lower. So
Harris, it doesn't take away any executive authority. So if President Trump...
Well, if that's the case, why can't we just use that now? Why can't we use the laws that are on the books now?
But he won't, so why not tie his hands
why
with
do you
law?
think
That's
he
what
would,
laws do.
Why do you think he'd follow the laws coming that you want to see changed if he won't even follow the laws that are on the books right now? If he won't enforce what he's got in front of him?
The Supreme Court in 2023 said that he has the authority to release people. So we can argue that he shouldn't.
So I just want to explain what the problem is. Again, she's making Trump's argument, which Trump posted yesterday. Okay, the same argument, which is no new bills need to be passed. The president has all the power he needs, which is a complete and utter lie. And that's why he's citing the Supreme Court, because this man is in the trenches and is saying what I'm saying after I did all this research, that the reason the federal immigration laws, listen up, MAGA, have to change is because the courts are striking down executive orders. We learned yesterday talking to PAB, right? He didn't know that a federal conservative Republican judge had struck down Remain in Mexico, right? Like, you can do all the executive orders they want, but then lawsuits are filed and they will be, if they are unconstitutional, if they go against immigration law, like it turned out Remain in Mexico did, they will be struck down. And that's what this guy's saying. He's saying, when he's saying in 2023, the Supreme Court said that current on the books immigration law says Joe Biden can parole anyone he wants into this country. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The laws on the books say that the president has huge latitude, that the head of Department of Homeland Security has huge latitude in what they do as far as paroling immigrants or not. So that is why, and this is for Republicans, the only way to stop this from happening is to change the laws. And that's what this bill does. Sorry, let's finish.
Right, yeah. The Biden administration they were penalizing people who were showing up and they were prioritizing people who had applied or registered to apply for asylum before they got there. And they were trying to treat these two different groups of people differently. And that's what the court said you can't do. Like, the courts basically ruled this argument that we've been having back and forth about, like, how to claim asylum. The court essentially ruled that if you show up and you claim asylum, there is no deference given to somebody who did it a specific way. You can't do that because the Biden administration was doing that, and they had claimed it had reduced the illegal border crossings by 42%. It was actually reducing border crossings, but the courts ruled that in order for Joe Biden to do this, we need a new law. She's just, like, exactly what Felice said, she's just wrong. The people that say that the laws are on the books, well, Joe Biden tried to take the laws on the books, interpret them his way, and the court said no.
Yeah, that's the point. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, we have to change these laws. That's the only way that this can go forward.
3 said that he has the authority to release people. So we can argue that he shouldn't release people, but
he also could shut the border down right now.
Harris,
She's
absolutely.
so stupid.
But this law ties his hands. This law doesn't allow the Supreme Court to come in and say that he can release people. This law says that if you're single adults, you will be held in custody. It ties his hands, and it will tie any future president's hands. So of course I will support that. It does not limit.
Well, it's mainly
Trump's
for
authority
Democrats
under
because Republicans see the issue.
Do you hear me? He said it does not limit Trump's authority, like the executive branch. It doesn't. And that's the point. We have to change these laws because any executive order that any president, Trump, we saw it with Remain in Mexico, was struck down. Any executive order will be struck down if it goes against federal immigration law. And what's important to also note is that we have international treaties as well. International treaties that have to do with asylum and us allowing asylum seekers. And in the free world, right, Western civilization, we all abide by international treaties that allow. That's why we have to change the laws of the stringency and the tests for asylum seekers, because we have to allow people, because of international treaties, to seek asylum. But if we change the process and the approval, like the level, how we approve them, that is something we have control over. But they are allowed through international treaties to seek asylum.
Yeah, this is what happens when you are just told something and you believe it. This bill is giving the president more power. Like, I don't understand how giving the president power to do something about the border, that courts ruled, like, you can't do this unless you change the law. So then they went back and they said, we need to change the law so that the president has the authority to impose stricter restrictions. More strict restrictions. That sounds better. And here you have Fox News saying it's going to hamstring Trump. No, like, it's the same courts. This is opening the door for Trump. This would be a win for Trump. If Trump were to somehow win in 2024, this is giving him more power than he currently has. This is an expansion of the powers of the president. This is giving them a legal route to directly impact the border in ways that they can't now. And yet the people on the right can't fucking figure that out because I don't know where they're getting their talking points.
No, well, this is why. It's because, I mean, which we've said this before, but like I said, Donald Trump, and I think I took a screenshot of it because you know me. He tweets, yeah. This is yesterday. This is in all caps. All the president has to do is say, close the border, and the border will be closed. A costly new bill is not necessary. Now, this, like we just heard from the Border Patrol Union, and like I know from researching federal immigration law, is a complete lie. It's not true. And the reason I say, watch, if they don't pass this border bill, and then when Trump gets in office, if he does close use the words close the border, this bill he's going to take the text of this bill and use it, because Trump has no clue about actual immigration policy. And what Joe Biden did is he used actual policy to close the border. Right? To declare, to make the point, to use a real emergency and say, here's how we actually use policy to give us the right to shut down a border because we have a humanitarian crisis. He showed Donald Trump how to actually use policy to give him what he wants.
Yeah, here's the story. Republicans complain forever that we need to do something about a border. They write H.R. 2. H.R. 2 is in the Senate's eyes, it's flawed. It's not a passable bill. So what did they do? They took HR2 and they took word for word sections out of HR2 and put it in the Senate bill. It's giving a lot of what HR2 wanted. There were massive concessions.
The parts that aren't in HR2 are the ones, the big parts. MAGA, because they don't know anything about international treaties, right? That and things that the Supreme Court does uphold. That is what the difference is in HR2. They ignore asylum treaties, right? And I'm saying what we can have control over is our process and the strictness of it, and that's what we can legally change. Joe Biden's just smarter.
Well, yeah, it's moronic to think that the courts have made decisions. The courts have ruled on decisions saying that these things violate international law, and then you go put it in the bill. It doesn't make any sense. So correctly, again, the Senate negotiated this correctly. They said, what can we do? What can be done? What will make it so the courts don't strike this law down? Let's make sure that this law holds up so that it can be put into effect. And Republicans just complete about face like, hey, yeah, we don't care. We don't need new laws. I mean, guys, for the love of God, like, for the people that show up and argue this every day, for the people that were like, oh, well, that's not a passable bill.
The border's the number one problem. Oh, it's not a problem now because a man that paints himself orange every day told me it wasn't.
Right. Is it a problem or is it not? Like, why are you Republicans so comfortable with your group of folks just changing the story on a hill? And many of you are still arguing for shit that's in this bill. You're like, what if we just did this? Well, pass the fucking bill because it's in there. Like, what if we limited the amount of people that came across the border? It's in the bill. What if we sped up the asylum process? It's in the bill. What if we sent people back quickly who were not qualified for asylum status? It's in the bill.
What if we build the wall? It's also in the bill. It's all in the bill. You get your wall.
Border patrol?
You get everything.
What if there's more tech? What if we put more technology on the border? It's in the bill. Literally everything you're asking for is in this goddamn bill, and now you're forced to do what? You all have to backtrack on the things you said. You all have to. For the last 6 months, you guys have been telling us what you want. You've been arguing with us. Oh, this is what we need. This is what we got to do to fix the border.
It's an emergency. It's an invasion.
Yeah, and now you're like, oh, run away. Yeah.
Well, Trump told me that everything I thought was important wasn't important, so I just believe him.
Like, it's just morons like Guerrilla Radio who show up every day and get spoon-fed their opinions and then sit in the car.
Whining Guerrilla. You should not accuse people of things you yourself are perpetually guilty of.
What do we got? An hour left. Let's see if we can get that to 300.
Screen.
There you go. You do that.
You're talk about You guys, let's tap the screen. Let's invite some Republicans. Maybe, do you want to talk to Guerrilla? We could talk to Guerrilla. But most importantly, we are doing Coincot. If you don't know what that is, it's a boycott on gifts to support BIPOC creators who largely aren't found as much in different things. So that's why we're participating in Coincot. If you would like to donate to us, the best part is write a little message and we'll read it out loud because they're hilarious. Let's see. Yeah, let's tap the screen. Let's get to 275K. It's 12:05. Let's see if we can get some Republicans in here so he can just be wrong and interrupt.
They're talking about Guerrilla.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Guerrilla is
perpetually wrong.
In my time on TikTok, I rarely. Everybody here that's a left-wing creator, we all understand that bringing up right-wingers who will argue anything is annoying, it's obnoxious, but like it does bring in more people, it does bring in more opposition. We understand that. I can't tell you the amount of right-wing creators who now are refusing to platform Guerrilla and David and have messaged me privately.
Right-wing creators?
Or left-wing, sorry.
Left-wing I was creators. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and simply just like, hey, like, what? There's no point anymore. Like, Gorilla has nothing to say. David has nothing to say. You guys have nothing to say anymore. You're now arguing the opposite points that you've been bitching at us for the last 6 months. Like, you have no credibility. Your credibility is shot. Gorilla, you still owe me $500 from a debate where you were talking about what we needed to do to fix the border and you didn't understand it then. And now here you are showing up the next day and now you're, the border was
Which, by the way, what that
Ukraine.
fight was about, it's in the bill.
Yeah.
By the way.
And then you're
also the fentanyl detectors. You know, you guys never hear them complaining about fentanyl anymore. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's also in the bill.
I mean, just the sheer bitch-assery of some of these right-wingers. Like, I don't understand you guys. I don't understand how you can still show your faces. To be 100% honest, I don't know how you're still showing up every day and arguing. Like, you have argued every side of every fucking point. You're on every side. Like, you have no coherent argument. You have no coherent narrative. You just want to show up and just argue to argue. And I think most people have just grown tired of it. Like, at some point you're going to have to admit that you were wrong about something.
Do we want to talk to Gorilla? I'm fine with talking to him. I'm assuming he's here to give us an apology.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I never. I don't think it should be my call. Like, he said some horrific things about women, and I think that should be your call. If you want to talk to him at any point, you can. You know me. Like, I will never run from any conversation, but I also am aware that some of the things that he said are extremely triggering for people. I know last time it was triggering for you, so I will always talk to anybody, but I don't want to platform somebody if it's gonna cause you issues. So that's kind of
okay. Well, you're like triggering me, bringing that up. We're not talking about that. Like, I don't remind me of like when I was triggered. But yeah, like we're not really talking about that stuff right now. Like, I want to hear him backtrack about the border.
All right. How about this? He can only come up if he can tell us why we shouldn't have a border bill. That's it. That's all you can tell us, Gorilla. Why we can't have a border bill. Gorilla Radio, why should we do nothing about the border?
Dude.
Why can we do nothing about the border? Why should we do nothing about it?
After you spent months saying that there was an invasion and we had to do something about the border as fast as possible, why now should we not do anything about it?
Well, it seems as though the narrative now is that Joe Biden can fix it. He doesn't need a border bill. He can just put back.
No, that's not the question we asked, and this is what you're not going to be allowed to do is pivot away to dumb shit. You've been on this platform multiple times talking about specific things you want fixed at the border. This border bill addresses every last one of them. Where are your balls? When are you finally going to realize that your party, it doesn't want to fix the border? Our party is giving you a bill that gives you everything you want, and you still ironically are like, oh, well, it looks like Joe Biden. No, it doesn't. Joe Biden wants this bill to pass. Yeah, Joe Biden wants this bill to pass.
He can fix the border without...
Why don't you?
No, he's saying, what Gorilla is saying is the objection that we just handled. Like he can fix the border without the bill, which we just talked about, Gorilla, when you were in here. No, he can't. That's what we saw and what we've seen. Federal immigration law says that he can't. Every single thing that we tried to do that's in this bill now and changes federal immigration law has been struck down in the courts. We have to change federal immigration law. Executive orders get adjudicated through the courts and they are struck down. This, as the border union president was saying, literally holds everyone's feet to the fire. No matter who it is, the law is changed, right? And as long as it's singles, they will be expelled or detained.
So what's this bullshit about platforming me? I don't do lives. I don't care how many followers I have. Why would you even say that? I'm a nobody. It's
not about, listen, nobody's afraid of you. You say dumb shit and you say horrific shit sometimes. And some of the things that you say are triggering to people.
Who's sending you messages that they're not platforming? What left-wing group?
Listen, I asked you to...
I didn't say that. I didn't say it.
I certainly did not make it up. Do you see the chat when you show up? Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, they love to hate me. I try not to.
Yeah, okay, and now you're surprised that people are saying that. I don't care about that though. Like I was just letting them. The only reason I said that, Guerrilla Radio, if we're full transparency, is because I want people to know that they're heard. I want people to know that when they tell me that you discussed them, that I hear them. And I also wanted to make sure that my co-host is cool with it. And I've always said there's nobody I won't talk to. I will talk to anybody. But like there are other people that I need to care about. So I'm just throwing that out there. If you've got a problem with that, I don't know, man. Maybe don't say dumb shit.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. You guys have spun this into me saying something bad about women when what I said was agreeing. I was agreeing with you.
You see, this is the problem. You never understand what anybody
But how
says.
do you spin something when I'm agreeing with you?
Shut up. You don't understand what we're saying. What the accusation was is you took somebody else's trauma without their permission and dumped it online. You shared somebody else's story of their abuse.
I'm not doxing them.
I didn't say you dox them. Did I say dox? Did I say that? Did I say
an
dox?
Example that agreed with you. That's it.
Okay.
It was a personal example that agreed with you.
No, you were disagreeing with us.
Like, I think that I don't want to have this conversation. It really isn't about that. It's more just about you. I don't think you listen, Gorilla. Let me answer the question. As a woman, you don't see it this way. You don't understand the undertone, the constant undertone of misogyny that you're perpetuating. When somebody, and I'm not just talking about makes a claim. I'm talking about listen, you asked a question. Bullshit. A jury of our peers found Donald Trump liable of sexual abuse. That's the end of the story. That's the end of the story now. Our justice system found him liable of sexual abuse. When you constantly sit there and defame someone who's a victim of sexual assault, other victims of sexual assault who understand what it's like to be gaslit, to not report, because they know what men in this country are like and how the minute you say you're assaulted, you're discounted, you're crazy, you're nuts, you're insane. Oh, look, she fantasized about BDSM, so that means she wants it. No, it's about consent. I can fantasize about anything I want, but I choose who touches my body. That's the difference. That's what you're getting confused. You don't speak about victims. You don't call them crazy. You don't constantly gaslight. So people are hearing all this and we're reliving our own trauma. That is what is being said. I'm just explaining it.
I know, but you guys bring up the topic. Do you believe the Paula Jones? Do you believe
the question?
Yes, I believe women. Yes, I believe women.
Wait, Gorilla. The question was, why should we do nothing about the border? I made a promise to the chat that that's what we were going to talk about. So we're going to go back to that, and I need to know why you think we should do nothing about the border.
Well, no, I believe we should do something about the border. Okay, great.
So I assume that you have now changed your allegiances to the Democrat Party, who is the only party willing to do anything about the border. Democrat.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you take any bill that comes down the pipe, dude. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, it does. It does.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
No, it does because
that's how we turn to shit.
Because the border. No, we turn to shit because we don't do anything. Border Patrol.
We could do something right now.
Be quiet. Shut up. Border Patrol is endorsing this. Border Patrol is endorsing this.
Mayorkas?
Border Patrol Union is endorsing this. You read the bill, Gorilla. It handles every single objection. The only thing it doesn't address are things that violate international treaties, and we can't do. We can't, just because MAGA wants to commit crimes against asylum seekers doesn't mean we can do that. But everything we legally can do to keep people out of this country and close the border, this bill does.
What specific things in the border bill outside of the funding for Ukraine and Israel are you opposed to?
I think the big one is setting into law the whole 5,000 a day.
What is the 5,000? Explain what that is setting into law.
Well, it would set it to where they shut it down after 5,000 a day on a 7-day rolling average.
Okay, and how many did we average last month per day?
I don't know. We went from 4,000 to 12,000 any given day.
How many did we average last month? Do you know?
It's 1.8,000.
8,000. So you're telling me that setting into law a level to shut down the border that's lower than the average amount of people that crossed last month, that is a problem for you?
Well, and that's just it. So when you read that, it says that the DHS or the president have the authority to shut it down. It doesn't mean that it's automated.
Correct. But right now, right now, how many people have to cross the border before it's shut down now?
He could shut it down right now.
No. How many? How many?
The president could do it right now.
No, we've already gone over that. That's not true.
He cannot shut it down. But how many, Gorilla?
Yeah, he could put back.
How many, Gorilla? How many? What's the number that gets it shut down now?
Yeah, but you're trying
What's
to dog
the number
walk
that
me,
gets
and
it
I'm
shut
not
down now?
Dog walk.
What's the number?
Come on, let's have a conversation.
What's the number? I'm
Don't
trying
dog
to
walk people into.
I'm trying to,
like
Gorilla,
this.
but you won't answer questions.
Let's have a conversation. You're trying to
let's have a
How many
conversation.
now? Oh,
Okay,
zero,
what's the
boss.
number?
It's zero, boss.
It's zero.
I
Exactly.
mean, come on.
So you're saying
but you're
that
trying to dog walk. Like,
no,
have
I'm
a
asking.
conversation once.
Be quiet. Be quiet. So I'm asking
Jesus.
you then. Oh, you poor baby. I'm asking you now. Why is
you.
Shut up. Why is a number better than no number? Or I mean, worse than no number.
You're
Why
still
is
going with the
5,000
dog
worse?
walking. I know.
Why
what you're
is
saying. I'm not
5,000
stupid,
worse? Why is it worse?
It's setting it in. It's setting a law for that.
For 3 years. But why is that
but
worse?
look at
No,
the big
it's not a
picture.
law, Gorilla. If you understand the provisions in this bill, it's not setting it in law. The president can lower it. If the emergency increases, then he can lower the number even more. It can change to 2,000. It can change to 1,000 if he wants it to. So that's not even the case. But the point is they use numbers. The 5,000 number is created, and the reason negotiators agreed on it is because they're looking at the problem and saying, okay, for the last 4 months, under these rolling averages, the border would have been shut. We all agree there's a humanitarian crisis, and this is unmanageable. Yes, it would have, Gorilla. That's where the numbers come from. Every day for the last 4 months, the border would have been shut. I did read it, Gorilla. You didn't read it. Don't ever accuse me of not reading something. Between the two of us, do read.
Yeah, but you're acting like it's an automated shutdown.
Why is the number 5,000 worse than no cutoff?
All right, let's move on to this one.
No, we're not moving on. This is you're going to answer questions and not be a pussy. Why is 5,000 worse than no limit?
It isn't.
Okay, great. So then why do you have a problem with it?
Because it's given the authority of the president and DHS to shut it down. It doesn't mean they have to.
You just said the president already had that authority.
And it not shut
you just
down.
said the president already had that authority. So now what's your problem with it?
You get, though, that they don't have to shut it down. You get that.
Understand it doesn't make sense when you're saying the president already has the authority.
Answer the question. Let me dog walk you. You understand that they don't have to shut it down. It doesn't make sense
what you're saying, Gorilla, and you know it.
You're making both sides of the argument. You're saying that the president already has the ability to shut it down, and also arguing that we shouldn't give the president the ability to shut it down. You're arguing both sides of the point.
Yeah, they don't have to shut it
stupid,
down. It
right?
authorizes them. It is
dumb, right? That's dumb of you to argue both sides of the point, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so is it possible, Guerrilla Radio, that the only reason you're arguing is because you just want Donald Trump to be right about everything? You just don't want Donald Trump to take a loss because you're now making both sides of the argument. You've asked for everything in this bill for the last 4 months.
Can I be honest?
That'd be terrific.
For 1 second, I'll be honest with you. I don't know enough about the numbers. None of us do. All three of us here on this panel right now really don't. We're not in the think tank, so we don't fucking know if 5,000 is a good number or if it should be 6,000 or 2,000. We really don't know. But I know there's objections.
You know how we find out, though? How do we find out?
Get into the think tank.
If we don't know what a good number is, how do we find out what a good number is?
I don't know.
You try. You set an arbitrary number and you see if you can handle it.
But they did. Hold on. It wasn't arbitrary. They reverse engineered the number 5,000.
I'm not saying. It's arbitrary as far as like, do we know for sure that this fixes the problem? Like maybe
I'm saying it's not arbitrary in that the reason it's 5,000 is because they're looking at the past data and saying, okay, we acknowledge the last 4 months since Remain in Mexico went away. This is an effing crisis. This is unprecedented. And based on that, yeah, what's happened at this border has been unacceptable. Let's use this data and say, hey, the last 4 months has been unacceptable, and we're going to reverse engineer that and say, based on the numbers, at 5,000, this border would have been closed for the last 4 months. That's the number.
Well, we can also assume that they're looking at the capacity that they have and how long the turnover is. Because I'm assuming there's something in this bill that speeds it up too. Because right now, if it's a 10-year,
I thought you read it. What do you mean you're assuming?
Yeah, he didn't read it. Of course,
you just
he didn't.
accused Felice of not reading the bill, and then you're saying, "I assume." Yeah, this is in the bill.
Let me finish.
Okay,
I'm
but it's in the
assuming
bill.
in the think tank, right? I'm assuming the think tank that thought this up.
Think tank. No, this wasn't a think tank. This was
Right,
literally a bipartisan Senate negotiation.
I'm assuming the senators that sat down and wrote this, right? Whoever looked at it said, okay, here's our capacity. Here's how quickly the turnover can be. We can handle 5,000 a day at maximum before we're overloaded. I'm assuming that happened, and that's not spelled out in there to read.
No, that's not. It's not about handling them. Like, right? They did increase detention beds, right? And at 5,000 a day, singles will be detained or released back. You know, nobody's being let in except for, and then the alternate family detention, but they're not assuming, they're increasing beds.
Right. So someone just said like they're raising capacity. So
yeah, they're raising capacity. Yes, all this has been factored in to try to see what can handle. And again, not to release people into the interior, because Grilla, that was your concern. And that has become I have been concerned about what's going on in sanctuary cities, like, you know, and the capacity there to house people. And that's what that's what essentially is being addressed here. Nobody's being released into the interior anymore. That's what's important. That's what you wanted.
So maybe, and again, being honest, maybe 5,000 is a good number considering the changes in the bill that are going to take place that'll keep them without being overwhelmed. I don't know that. None of us really know how they didn't just pull that number out of thin air. But here's the part that really concerns me, and it should you guys, and I'm saying this just conversationally, not from the right or the left, whatever, but it seems to me it should be a concern, the whole part where individuals are detained, because that seems to me that the cartel will be involved with those individuals so that they're not individuals and not detained.
Wait, so here's
like,
the
here's
thing.
a child.
Yeah, wait, but hold on.
You know?
This crisis at the border, let's be very clear, has very little to do with the cartel. Very little. These are not. No, it is. Like, these are not.
It's mass migration. Due to destabilization.
Shut up for a second and listen.
Yeah, but very little.
What part of shut up and listen do you have, like, are you struggling with? Can you get asylum coming from Mexico? Can you be granted asylum? You can?
Yeah, if you're able to prove that they're out to unalive you and your government's after you or a group.
Have you heard of a bunch of people from Mexico being granted asylum?
No, I haven't heard of a bunch of people.
No, these asylum seekers largely are from places outside of Mexico.
Yes, I would agree.
This is you reverting back to your Republican roots and pretending that you care about the cartel and you care about the kids. This isn't about the cartel. This is about mostly, overwhelmingly, asylum seekers. This isn't a cartel issue. So don't make this about the cartel. Make this about what's actually happening. And what's actually happening is that there are thousands of people sitting at our border trying to claim asylum, and your party won't do anything about it because they are afraid that Biden will look good. And if you can't admit that, I don't know what to tell you, but you're cool with it. You're cool with your party trotting up Marjorie Taylor Greene to fight this battle. And you're cool with Donald Trump at the top saying, hey guys, even though the courts have struck down this thing I keep saying where the president has all the power, even the courts have already ruled on that, I'm going to keep saying it. And you guys better follow me blindly because I have to be back in power. You are the most cucked group of people to a moron to an absolute moron. And I hate to break it to you. You're going to lose in 2024. And this is all on Republicans. Every single day now that we don't do anything about the border, it's Republicans. It's on them exclusively. Exclusively. There is no blame to be given to Mayorkas. There is no blame for Biden. There is no blame for Democrats. There is no blame for Senate Republicans who endorsed this bill. The blame rests entirely in the hands of Donald Trump and House Republicans. If I don't want to hear another goddamn word complaining about the border from you people. None. You shut the fuck up forever about it because you don't care.
You just told 1,100 people that Mexicans don't get asylum approval in the U.S.
No, that's not what I just said.
They do.
Jay, you just made a bunch of points, and I'm going to go back to a thing that isn't relevant because I know that you correctly pointed out that I'm supporting the people who don't want to do a goddamn thing about the border. So instead, I'm going to pivot back to this thing about asylum. This is why people don't platform. This is why people don't want to platform you anymore, Guerrilla Radio. This is why. Because we spend our time explaining shit to you, and you go back to trying to do some gotcha bullshit. I need you to explain to me why you don't give a fuck about what's happening at the border. I need you to explain to me why you're still supporting a party who is doing absolutely nothing about the border, and instead, they're just lying to you. Like, oh, we already have the power. It can be done, even though the court struck it down. Like, it's like willful stupidity at this point.
Firstly,
address what I said.
I'm gonna. If you list 5 points in your monologue, I can't go back to the 1 or 2 point.
I didn't say that.
Point.
I said that the overwhelming majority of people at the southern border aren't Mexicans. They are people from other countries seeking asylum. That's the point I made. And you brought up the cartels because you want to fearmonger. You want to spin it and make it look like we don't care about the cartels and that you're just really thinking about these poor migrants falling into the hands of the cartel. And that's why you're opposed to a border bill, because this may make it possible for the cartel to slip through the fences.
But it's not.
That's not your real argument. Your real argument is you don't know, you can't figure out why your party's not doing anything, and you're scrambling for excuses.
But it's not all about asylum, Jay. It's also and Whisper pointed this out on his
mostly about asylum.
On his. I bookmarked it. He pointed it out that if we don't allow people to come between ports of entry, it's like 1.3 billion of our GDP because they don't go through points of entry. They come here to work and then they go back home.
So why then? So great. Thank you for bringing up a bunch of points that have nothing, that don't answer the question I'm asking you. I need to know why you're still supporting a party who is doing nothing, not one goddamn thing about the border. They're sitting in Washington just doing whatever Donald Trump says and complaining. And meanwhile, we have people at the border who are suffering. We have Border Patrol who is overwhelmed. We have court systems who are overwhelmed. We have sanctuary cities that are overwhelmed. We have a real problem that you guys have loved talking about until it comes time for solutions. And now you're going to be like, oh, but Whisper said. No, address it. Address why you're still supporting this dog shit party.
Well, can't we have...
Address why you're still...
I am!
Well, you said that last time! You said that last time, and you told me some dumb shit Whisper said. I don't care about that.
I said, can't we? And then you started yelling, dude. Can't we have a bill that both sides agree upon?
No, I need you to explain to me why you're still supporting a party that's doing nothing about the border.
I think they are. I think this is a big issue.
What are they doing?
I also agree
with
you.
What are they doing?
Because I know the narrative.
What are they doing?
You're pushing.
What are they doing?
I agree with you. Politics are involved.
Can I say,
Let me finish.
No, what are they doing?
Let me finish. Politics are obviously involved.
Shut up. No, what are they doing? What are they doing? I don't care about your stories, dude. If you want to have a substantive conversation about the border, let's fucking do it. But stop running from every question. What are Republicans doing right now to solve the problems at the border?
Republicans are making it so that it hurts his Biden's approval rating.
And how is that helping the border?
And the longer
how's that helping what's happening at the border?
I'm just telling you what the Republicans are doing, right? You agree with that, right?
I said to help at the border. That's not helping.
Oh, to help, yeah. So
yeah.
an invasion at the border that had to Gorilla, you have spent months, you can't pretend you haven't spent months on coming on here and saying, what about the gotaways, what about this is emergency, there's an invasion, we're at war, let's do something. And now you pivot, and all you can do, because there's no logical reason left, like I've read this border bill, anything legally we can do, we're now going to do in this bill. And so now you're still sitting here just saying, oh, we're hurting Biden's approval rating. That's not helping the emergency, the war you said we're at the southern border.
I don't ever refer to it as an invasion or a war. It's too many. It's too many people. I don't need to.
Hey, you absolutely referred to it as an invasion. Yes,
I don't need to characterize it like that.
You absolutely did characterize it like that. So now, for whatever reason, pretending you didn't doesn't make that so.
And the people that you continue to support, what are they doing about fixing the problem at the border?
I think look, when it's bipartisan in the Senate, that means nothing. It needs to be bipartisan in the House.
Yeah, so what are Republicans doing to fix? What are Republicans doing?
There's a group of people that don't like the bill.
So what are Republicans doing?
No, that's not what it is.
Well, then what is it? Is it
they have said that Donald Trump doesn't want the bill to pass. They've said it.
Why are you so afraid to admit that? Like,
just admit the truth.
Yeah, explain, Guerrilla Radio, how they go from proposing HR2, having most of HR2 word for word put in this new bill, and when it comes back around for them to vote on it, they now say we don't need legislation. Why did they push legislation in the first place if they didn't need it?
Go to congress.gov and look at all the bills on immigration.
No, stop it. Answer questions, Gorilla. Why did they push through HR2 if they didn't need legislation?
Well, they need legislation.
Oh, well, now they're saying they don't. And where did they get that? Where's that messaging?
I don't know why
coming from?
It's so hard.
Where's that messaging coming from, Guerrilla Radio? Where is that messaging coming from? Where's it coming from?
Why don't you guys understand this?
Where's it coming from? Don't run. This is the thing. Where's it coming from?
What do you mean this is the thing? The
Where's
House
it
and
coming
the Senate
from?
need to agree on
Where
it.
is that messaging coming from?
Well, I guess we can pinpoint it on the phone call to Speaker Johnson, who said don't do anything unless it's perfect.
Hey, but you don't have a different... Let me just explain something to you, Guerrilla Radio.
Quit dog walking, dude. I'm very well versed in the current events of what's going on. And you're trying
you're not.
Why is this happening?
Be quiet.
Because we know it's Trump, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's Trump. You guys don't want to do anything.
Me into that? A guy that comes up here to talk to you and be opposition. Why fucking dog walk me? It doesn't make any sense.
I'm sorry that you're getting your feelings hurt, and I'm sorry that you're running. All right, now I have to start muting you. Shut the fuck up. I have to start muting you now. I'm dog walking you because for months we have given you a platform, and now it's come down to you spending months complaining about this, and it's our turn to ask you tough questions, and you're running from tough questions. So I need you to answer the questions, and then we can have a conversation. But if you continue to ignore my questions and say, don't dog walk me, well then leave. I don't give a shit if you're here. I really don't. But if you're not going to answer questions, I don't need to platform you and let you narrativize bullshit. So I'll ask once again, where is this narrative coming from? Why have they all switched their minds from we desperately need legislation to we don't need legislation?
Said Trump.
But from what I've seen, right, the narrative came out that Trump called Speaker Johnson, and Johnson said that out loud, which he probably shouldn't have, and that to wait for a perfect bill.
No, that's not what happened. He said, we don't need a bill.
Right, yeah. So now the narrative's changed to where they're saying...
You don't see a problem with that? You don't see a problem with Donald Trump writing a fucking tweet and the whole narrative changes? You don't see a problem with that?
Well, yeah, and he's still in control of the party, though, right?
Yeah, and guess what? And yes, and him being in control of the party means what, Gorilla? That we're not going to do anything about the border.
Yeah, but I've told you, go to congress.gov and you can see all the immigration bills they've pushed forward through the House.
Yes, and now they're saying that we don't need a bill. I've already covered this. There could be, if there were 58,000 bills they tried to push through, I still don't care because their argument now is we don't need a bill. So explain to me why you think this is such a great party that they won't even believe themselves. They will do whatever Donald Trump says. And what Donald Trump is saying is, we're not doing shit about the border unless I get elected.
Can I ask you a question?
If you're going to answer mine, yeah.
let me ask you.
Sure.
Don't you think when a bill is created and it comes down the pipe through whether it's created in the House or the Senate, don't you think that both of those houses of Congress need to agree on the bill? I mean, should we just push any bill through?
Yes, we should.
Or should we also agree on it? I don't know why.
Gorilla, yes, you're right. They should. And what you need to understand, that's what you don't understand the history of this bill. It was Speaker Johnson and it was Mitch McConnell. They were trying to get Ukraine and Israel funding for months, for like 8 months for Israel, or 6 months for Ukraine, 4 months for Israel funding. And it was Mitch McConnell and Speaker Johnson who said, you will not get a dime for Ukraine or for Israel unless you bipartisan create a bill that addresses the border, and then and only then will we tack on funding to Ukraine and Israel. And then what happened where the Democrats said, okay, in order to get funding for Israel and Ukraine, we will negotiate with you on the border. Who's your guy on the border? And Mitch McConnell said the toughest guy we have on the border is the Republican who was endorsed by Trump in 2022 and literally said word for word in that endorsement, he's the toughest on the border. It's James Lankford. And they asked the Democrats, who do you have? He said Chris Murphy from Connecticut and Kristen Sinema. And that's why this happened. It wasn't just Democrats like, oh, let's write a bill. It's because to get funding for Ukraine and Israel, the Republicans said the only way you will get a dime is to tack on the border. We did all of this. This negotiation has been happening for months, Gorilla. And then because Donald Trump was like, wait, no, I wanted to be the hero. I wanted to be the hero. Never mind.
Maybe you're right.
All of the, so
Maybe.
that's that. No, I'm not. It's not maybe. That I promise you, Gorilla, that is exactly what happened.
Well, so the part that I would question then is because I thought there was plenty of GOP members that want to give money to. I mean, Ukraine needs money. So does Israel, right? I mean,
yeah,
so
but Donald Trump said don't pass it. So now they've all changed their tune.
But it isn't. Have you heard? I just watched Ted Cruz's reaction.
You get that? Wait, but hold on. Don't just move on from that.
Cognitive dissonance.
No,
You're in it right now, Gorilla. You're smart enough to see through this.
So
it's like you're looking for every answer except for the one right in front of your face.
I'm asking you guys.
And I'm telling you, the only reason that this bill is not passed, stop looking for legitimate reasons why this bill hasn't been passed. Everybody changed their mind when Donald Trump told them to. Why are you looking past the most obvious, transparent answer and trying to come up with something else? Because you're desperate, dude. Like when you for all the shit you say about us on other lives, when you call us schmazzies, when you call for all that shit. For all of that shit. Like, you can't recognize how...
And he's just disparaging a woman, and that's fine.
No,
you Gorilla.
That shit removed him.
So, just a woman. I'm just disparaging a woman. That should be no big deal. It's not Jay. It's just, you don't even hear the misogyny.
Well, let's be honest. Like, Gorilla might say that about Jen, and he might talk tough in those lives. But I have also seen messages of Gorilla like hitting on Jen. So I'm not sure what his deal is there. Jen's in charge now. Jen, you're in charge of the boss.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
Jen, if you want to bring him back up, do it. If you don't. Jen's here. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Gorilla, you're such a stupid man. I don't know if you don't get this, but I have control of this entire space. So you want to talk shit, or you have a humiliation kink. I'm not really sure. I mean, it's probably both. Let's be honest. So, I mean, Jay and Felice like to play with their food before they eat it. So that's why I'm tolerating you. But just remember who's in charge. Good talk. And by the way, have you eaten that giant bag of dicks yet? Because you need to.
Thanks, Jen.
Boss. Scary business meetings. Hey, yeah, I don't know. I mean, This is the thing. There's no point we can get to, like, I don't know, like we saw it with PAB too. Like he would say good points, but then he won't. Like, it's the cognitive dissonance. Your goal is to always poke holes. Like the thing you're saying, I agree with you, Gorilla. You're saying we should have bipartisan legislation. That's why I was explaining. This is the Republicans. This is what they asked for. They were holding up funding to Ukraine and Israel. They said this is the way to get it. Sweeping border reforms, bipartisan border reforms. Mike Johnson said it. Mitch McConnell said it. That's why we negotiated a bipartisan bill, which won't be perfect. The words Mike Johnson used of, oh, now it changed to, if the bill's not perfect. There's no perfect bipartisan negotiation. There's no bill that can be written that's going to handle every extreme situation at the border. But like the Border Patrol Union president has said, this is the best we have.
So I have to address the me.
No, the only thing you're allowed to address right now is what Felice just said.
Me hitting on Jen.
No,
Come on.
The only thing you're allowed to address right now is what Felice said. You've lost the ability to come up here on this platform and defend things you've said. Like when you go nonstop and try and slander Felice and I on others' lives. Like if you don't have the courage to say it to our face, don't say it. But I'm not going to let you come up and defend it. So you can only respond to what Felice has said.
Wow. So I'm just a guest that gets dog walked.
Well, you've been
hit on Jen.
You've been that guest for a long time.
She made a video, blonde or brunette or something, and I just said you look good on both. Like, I have a girlfriend.
I love Jen. No one thinks it's weird you're hitting on Jen.
And that may be because I was pandering, so I don't
That's
get
the
muted
most charming thing you do
time.
of all
I'm
the
muted
other
every
unacceptable activities you engage in. Hitting on Jen is probably the least awful of all of them.
Gorilla, you recognize that for us.
No, I wasn't even hitting.
Yeah, I don't care. You recognize for us.
Just said she looked good on both. I'd never.
Recognize. I don't care.
Profile
Shush. We're done with that. You recognize that for us, for both Felice and myself, we don't like this bill. We don't like that it gives funding to Israel. We're morally opposed to funding Israel. And yet, we recognize that this is how our Congress works. Okay. And we're not advocating that our government just shut down every time we don't get our way. Like, at some point, people need to act like adults, and you refuse to do that. You refuse to go after your party. You refuse to stop supporting your party when every step of the way, ever since Joe Biden came around, you guys love that. You love the when Trump came down the escalator. Well, before Joe Biden was in office, your people tried to overthrow the government, and then on day one, you voted to impeach him, and now we're 40 plus impeachment attempts now, and now you guys you won't fund the government. You threaten to shut down the government over everything. You're running through speakers, and now we have a crisis at the border that you guys refuse to address, all because Donald Trump lost. And I'm just like, you're a grown-up, dude. Can you guys start acting like grown-ups at some point?
Yeah, so
start calling out the petulancy of your party? Just at some point, are you going to do that?
So because you dog walk me, I'm just supposed to switch parties?
No, you're supposed to answer
Is that
questions.
what happens to you when you get dog walked on other platforms?
This is the thing. Like, you won't even answer the questions.
You just switch?
You're such a fucking coward. You won't answer questions.
Listen, the reason that it comes to the point where you're not being spoken to with respect, which I think I do try to speak to you with respect because I want to be spoken to with respect, though, is the cognitive dissonance, right? Like, you know the answer to that questions, because you know what I'm saying. So that's when it gets combative, in my opinion. But you do deserve to be spoken.
Is she breaking up, or is it just me?
Yeah, her internet's breaking up. Look, dude, like you've seen.
No, I agree with you on the Israel part. They have 400,000 soldiers, and they're a pretty rich nation. Why do they need any more support?
Wait, dude, can you just every time Felice talks, it's like you didn't hear her.
She was breaking up, bro.
Okay, well then, let's explain.
Okay, I said, can you hear me now? Yeah. I said that you deserve to be spoken to with respect. I agree on that point with you. But when it becomes combative is when We ask you questions, and you are you're very intelligent. You know the answers, and you avoid, you pivot, you do anything but to just say the answer. And that's I think when Jay becomes frustrated. But I was saying I do agree, Grilla, that you deserve to be spoken to with respect. I agree. And so do women who are victims of SA. I would like I just would like to add that they also deserve it. They also deserve to be spoken to and spoken about with respect.
You guys are both smart, and if you assume that I'm also intelligent, then it seems disingenuous to dog walk someone like ABC.
Stop
like
saying
that.
dog walking. No,
Well,
it's
I
not.
just
No, this
know
is
where
no
you're
Gorilla.
going,
Listen,
Jay.
if you are smart,
you don't have to.
Gorilla, if you are
break it
smart,
down.
if you are confident, then you don't have to run from the real answers. This is why I'm frustrated. You can ask me tough questions about Joe Biden. I'll answer them honestly, and I'll stand behind them. But the reason you keep saying, I don't want to be dog walked, is what you're hearing is me asking you questions that you know the answer to, and you're afraid to say the answer. That's where the frustration comes. You are actually terrified to tell the truth. It's not good enough, Gorilla. It's not good enough for you to be like, well, of course I know what the truth is, but I'm not going to say it. Why not? If you want to have a conversation, a real conversation, then answer the fucking questions honestly and don't run from them, and we'll have a good conversation. So I'm going to ask you again, why do you continue to support a party who wants to do nothing but shut down the government? They're doing nothing about the border. Why do you continue to support them?
I guess values that the Republicans have. And I have that on both sides.
What values?
Smaller government.
And you recognize that they expanded the size of government while they were in office and in charge, right?
That's not the case anymore. You're right.
Can you point to a single conservative in the last 30 years that when the conservatives were in power, a single time when they consolidated the power of the government or made it less?
No.
Okay, so again, see, this is cognitive dissonance.
But they go against all
you
the
have this ideal of what you want them to be, and they're not that. They're an enemy to you and to me and to this country, but you have this idealism of like, here's who I want them to be, so I'm just going to keep staying on this team.
I could agree with that it's like old school mentality. I mean, it's not. I voted for Clinton. So, I mean, I've voted for McCain. I've voted for both sides.
Okay. So then how do you look in the mirror and say, like, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump? This border crisis started under him. He did nothing to fix it. I'm not blaming him, but it did happen under him. And there were things he did that made it worse. Now he's saying that, like, somehow he had the executive authority to stop it and didn't. Now the courts have ruled he doesn't have that executive authority, and he's saying to the Republicans, do nothing because I have this authority. He is lying. He's lying, and he just wants negative. Like, you're playing his game. When you talk about being afraid of being dog walked by me, you're getting led around by a leash by like an 80-year-old man who just wants power back. A guy with 91 indictments. You don't have a problem when he leads you around with a leash. He doesn't even need the leash. You'll just follow him. You'll just stay right by his side. He'll dog walk you all day, and you're like, thank you, sir. Could we go for another walk? But I ask you a tough question, and you're like, oh, this is unfair.
You asked me a question 4 minutes ago before you started monologuing.
Yeah, and I am monologuing because I'm trying
why Donald Trump, and
and you're still following him. So why?
And I'm being honest with you, Jay. It's multifaceted. Part of it,
okay,
the
what
main
other thing?
part
so
of it
you
is
said small government. That's not true.
So
you
the
said
main
border. That's not true. What else?
I may have voted Democrat if Trump wasn't around.
What other reasons are you supporting Donald Trump?
Again, it's Donald Trump is not a politician. So my vote for him is like a fuck you. It's a fuck you to the world and a fuck you to everybody.
You understand? You understand he was elected.
I get
he is controlling politicians.
I get 8 words.
He's a politician.
I get 8 words.
You said he's not a politician. He's a politician. It's what he's doing. He's playing politics.
Outsider. Then let's say that he's an outsider.
Well, everybody that comes to Congress at one point was an outsider.
Both sides hated him.
Male that inherited hundreds of millions of dollars. He's a fixture in America. Like, his family's a fixture here. Like, when you say he's not an outsider, he's an opposite of an outsider.
I don't think anybody thought that it would turn into what it's turned into. This whole Trump MAGA craze. I don't think
because we thought you guys were smarter than this. We didn't know you guys would keep falling for the same shit for 7 years.
Maybe we are the smart ones, Jay. Maybe we are the ones that are
explain
saying,
how you're the smart
world.
ones then. What are we getting out of you with Donald Trump now not doing anything about the border? Why are you the smart ones?
Okay, let me answer that by asking you a question. Aren't you sick of the political speak? Where questions are asked and they never answer the question.
Like right now when you're asking me a question instead of answering my question? Like right now, the thing that you're doing right goddamn now, the thing I've been criticizing you for this entire live, that you won't answer questions, and now you're asking me if I'm tired of people not answering questions? Yes, I'm tired of that. Will you stop being like them for a second?
I have never been able to fully answer a question.
You're not answering questions.
So go ahead, ask the question, and I'll answer it with the shortest amount of words possible.
Answer it as long as you want, as long as you stay on subject. I don't care. I'm saying, like, what is he doing for our country? What is it about Donald Trump that makes you believe that it's okay for him to force Congress to do nothing about our border, to force Congress to do nothing about Israel, to force Congress to do nothing about Ukraine? What is it that he is going to bring to us?
Well, I mean, you're pushing that narrative that he's forcing. Who says he's forcing anything?
He is threatening the people who vote against it.
10 minutes ago, I brought up Ted Cruz in his response to the bill, where he said he thought it was shit, and then he finally got the information, the texts, and read it, and it is total dog shit. Do you know the specifics of why the Republicans? And I'm asking. I
would just like to point out one more time.
Are they just saying Trump said?
You're not answering my
question.
Reasons? You understand you're not answering my question, right? I asked you a specific question and you went straight whataboutism. So do you want to try this again? What is Donald Trump bringing by forcing people to not vote for this bill? What is he bringing to the table? What is he doing to make America or your life better?
See, you're
guys, 9-minute finger workout.
You're making me answer the question by saying that he's forcing this. Do you see what you do?
Well, he's threatened them.
Like, why are you still supporting Trump, who's forcing them? Like,
yes, he is doing that. He's threatening them. He's saying that I will
to primary anyone who doesn't.
Is this how you got people to be Mormon? Is this what you did, door to door?
No, Mormonism is far closer to MAGA. What I'm doing, see, again, you're not answering the question, and you tried to deflect. No, shut up. Good job. And you got me to leave. You got me to leave that, but I'm going to ask you one more time. This is the 5th time I've asked you this question. What does Donald Trump bring to America?
Straight answers. A fuck you to the world. A fuck you to the politicians that don't answer questions.
And a fuck you to you, Guerrilla Radio. This is a person who is saying, fuck you, Guerrilla Radio, and you're like, oh, I love it. Oh, I love it so much. I love that he's not doing anything for our country. Oh, I gotta vote for him. What are you talking about?
Like you said, Gorilla, you said a little earlier, like, don't you guys hate it when people, like you said, like, don't give straight answers. And I do, yeah. And like, that's why I do so much research. And the number one reason I'm not a Republican, well, there's a lot of reasons, but is because they say one thing and do another. And that's all we're seeing. You can research the things Trump's saying. You're convinced he's telling you the truth. You can easily fact check that he's not.
Well, that's the beauty of it, that you can look at it and see if he's telling the truth or not. These politicians, as I've grown up and watched them, won't even answer the question. They'll get questioned, and then their answer has no answer in it. It's all political speak. You guys see that?
Do you understand the goddamn irony of you criticizing people not answering fucking questions while you're up here not answering questions? Do you understand the irony of that at all? Like, at all? You're the very thing you're complaining about. What is Donald Trump bringing to this country? That's why you're voting for him, because he doesn't care about you? Because Donald Trump said, fuck you, I don't care about the border. That's why you're voting for him?
He's a maverick. And why are you saying that?
What is a maverick? What does that mean?
He's an outlier.
What does that mean?
He's uncontrollable, dude.
Why is that important
to you? You can see him tweet,
why is that important to you?
Because it's different than what we're used to.
So somebody said, like, somebody fucks up the country, holds the whole country hostage, does nothing about the border, and you're like, well, it's different. I like different.
How are
like
we
a lot of things would be different. Like socialism would be different. Communism would be different. A civil war would be different. What is different always good?
I think it was time. It was due to have a dude like this, man.
It was time for us to do nothing about the border. After 6 months of you complaining about the border, now is the time that we should do nothing about it.
Well, it's been a problem for 40 years.
Now is the time we should do nothing
The
about
government, he added to the 25% to the national debt. All the things you've said you're against up here.
Trump did with COVID, a pandemic. He added what?
Yeah, he added 25% to the national debt,
Okay,
more than
okay.
any other president in history.
With the global pandemic, okay.
He was on pace. He was on pace to, in 4 years, outpace any of the 2 Obama terms. So long before COVID, he was already outspending. So that's a
this
silly
isn't
thing for you to
because
say.
of COVID, Gorilla.
Yeah, and
But
I saw an interview
that's how
with
you're
him where
trying
they-
to justify something that's not true? Okay.
There's an interview with him where he's saying that he was about to work on the debt right when the pandemic came too.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
I mean,
Gorilla, at your
tax cuts that added to the debt right when he left. It didn't offset them. What are you talking about? Nothing you're saying is true. Like,
I just
say,
told
Gorilla,
you, I
just
could
say,
find the video.
I will support this man regardless of how much he hurts me and everyone else in this country because I'm stubborn. Just that's the answer to the question. And if you
So
say
Joe
that,
Biden
then
isn't hurting you with the 64 orders that he canceled. They have to do with immigration at the border. That isn't hurting you. It's
No.
all Donald Trump.
Pivot,
You vilify
pivot,
everybody on the right.
Pivot.
do we have any
you're
more
just-
messages
that's
to
not a
read from
pivot,
Venmo or Cash App?
It is a pivot. We asked you about Donald Trump, and you went to Joe Biden. That by definition is a pivot.
Donald Trump isn't the
Wait,
president.
hold on. Let me answer. Joe Biden is pushing legislation to fix the border, to fund Ukraine, and to fund Israel.
Says you. Says you that it
everybody.
fixes
You don't
the
think?
border?
Wait, you don't think he's pushing for this?
This is the
House
policy.
Republicans don't think it's going to fix anything.
No.
Just
That's
you
not
do.
true, Gorilla.
Just you and Biden.
That's not just the president of the Border Patrol Union that has spent every day criticizing Biden and saying, I hate this man. I want him out of office. And now is on Fox saying, hey, I don't like him, but I like this bill. It's good for the country. And I can separate the two.
I'm looking at it. This is absolutely better than
We Republicans have said, Gorilla, and have just been honest about it and said, hey, why would I help Joe Biden? Fixing the border right now helps him. That's a very selfish thing to say, but Jim Jordan said it. You know, other Republicans have come out and just said, and you can just say, I don't want to give Joe Biden a win. I spent 6 to 8 months screaming on TikTok that the border was a crisis, but I would rather, like you said, the gotaways continue escaping into this country for months and months because I support a man that paints himself orange every morning. You can say that, and then the questions.
Why do that though? Why do the
questions will stop.
The paint
Oh,
yourself
why do that?
orange and
Oh,
we're
why do that?
racist,
I'll tell you why.
misogynist.
I'll tell you why. Because
Why do that? Well, I've
I'm
seen
going to
a
tell
video
you,
about DeSantis
Gorilla. I have a
and
specific reason why I do that. So let me finish. Because men who put makeup on and men who want to wear makeup aren't allowed to do that in this country and read stories to children.
Is it
And you know who
teen
decided
spray or-
that? Donald Trump demonizes men who wear makeup, and he every morning puts makeup on. So I will point out every single fucking day of my life that everyone in all those men in Congress have makeup artists and literally have their faces painted every single day. Yes, I will say that.
Okay, and DeSantis' shoes. Now do that one. You made a video about that.
I'm sure you would like to get
No, I
away from
didn't.
this conversation. I'm
Yeah,
sure
you did.
would
You
like
have
to
a
get
video
away.
where you talk about his idiot shoes and laugh and smile. I see you.
He did wear
you do, and
white
I've
boots.
seen you live talking
Listen
about
to
it.
me. No, I didn't lie. Here's what everyone
he's talking
said.
about, like, the
No, let me
heels.
say. Here's what everyone said about DeSantis's white boots. If you're walking around a hurricane zone where everyone's homes are decimated and you're wearing pristinely clean white boots, don't act like you're in there. Don't try. He's doing a photo op. And you know this. People do this all the time. I cannot stand we see Ted Cruz at the border standing there trying to act every time it rains like he cares. I'm tired of seeing photo ops with pristine white boots when you're in a hurricane zone. You could have at least dirtied them up to fool us.
Well, you guys cry about the brown suit of Obama, and then I hear that you guys just make fun of all the Republicans as many times as you can. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, cry more. To quote you, cry more. You came up here, I asked you to defend a position. You've been wholly unwilling and unable to defend a position, and now you're just playing whataboutisms. And because that's like, you're not a serious person, Guerrilla Radio. You're just somebody who is terrified of being wrong. And when you are wrong, you deflect, and you're playing whataboutisms. And this is why people don't want you up on their platforms anymore, because this isn't a good faith discussion. You want to talk about the border? Let's talk about the border. But if you can't even be honest about what happened in the border and what's in the bill, you don't know what's in the bill. Have you compared the difference between HR 2 and this bill? Not that different. Honestly, not that different. And what you're saying is like, oh, it's okay if Donald Trump just fucks us all over. I don't care, because I'm just going to love him no matter what. Like, don't tell me you're not in a cult when I asked you to defend positions and you said, well, I just like him because he's fucking things up because he's different. Don't tell me that it's not a cult when you can't even list a single solitary reason that is backed by facts of why you support this man. It's crazy. And
I told you why.
And you should just be more. You should just be more courageous. You shouldn't be such an absolute coward. You should admit that you're wrong.
How much better this would be if we were actually able to have a conversation?
You're not able to.
Just me.
See, there you go. Nope. You're deflecting again. No, thank you. No,
See,
thank
we can't have a conversation.
Yeah, because immediately when I finished talking, you changed the subject.
Yeah, but
because
you'll
again,
ask questions like,
there
why
were
do you support Donald
conditions,
Trump,
the conditions of you coming up here today were to defend this position. That was the only reason we brought you up, is to defend this position. And every time we ask you to defend the position, you change the subject.
I said individuals are being detained, right? That's a bad thing. That doesn't sound like it's going to work. Right? Setting into law the 5,000 average per day. I don't know if that's good or bad. I can't answer that question.
Yes, you can, because it's.
I don't know if the numbers are correct.
You answered that question.
Green
Wait,
cards.
hold on. You answered that question.
Maybe we need 100,000.
Wait. You answer. See, this is what's crazy. You've already admitted that you were wrong on this point, but because of your cognitive dissonance, you're already going back. Like, you already admitted that the 5,000 number is better than what we have right now, and yet now you're going back on that position. You're not a serious person. You're not somebody people should take seriously. You're not even somebody people should listen to, because 15 minutes ago you told us that number was better, and you agreed that 5,000 is better than 8,000, and here you are saying the same shit. And you'll be on somebody else's live later today saying the same shit.
No, and maybe I don't know, dude.
Only address what I just said. Only address why you just brought that point back in after you already admitted it.
Well, you asked the question and said I'm not answering any of the questions that I was brought up into the box for to be platformed by you. And I said I did bring up these certain instances, and I don't know if 5,000 is a good number. I'm being honest.
Is it better than 8,000?
Is it better than 8,000? What we had? Yes.
Is it better than 8,000?
I don't know.
All right, I'm done.
It could be more. We might need more, dude.
The dumbest shit I've ever heard. Is it better than 8,000? I don't know.
Yeah, there's no point.
And just mute him, by the way. Just mute. I don't want to see his comments for the rest of his life.
I don't want to see his comments.
I don't want to hear.
Guys, we got to 400,000. Yay.
I've got some comments.
Such an amazing job. Oh, yeah. Let's read the comments.
All right.
Best part.
This is from Bethany for Felice, Stick Up for Woman, and DV. Love you both. Yes. These are loading slowly. For Britain, toothpicks for Felice because she just ate. Like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That was pretty good. Then we got John said, for Jen. I love that. And then, that was Britain again. Is that the same one? Britain again, 10 cents for everyone Gorilla has said you dog walked. Or for every time Gorilla has said you dog walked. He doesn't know what that word means, I don't think. Lindsay has said, Felice, Gorilla Radio is the ultimate MAGA simp.
Yes, that's the truth. He really should get an award or something. They should give him an award. He's their most loyal soldier.
Gorilla, just from Chase, Gorilla is a bitch. If you think you can actually learn something, this is from Whisper. If you think you can actually learn something, join my live, and I'll explain again what I said about the border wall. But I doubt you have the courage to actually get fact checked in a second live of the day. P.S. I will absolutely dog walk you. That is a sweet P.S. I liked the P.S. there. And then let me hop over to this one for knock knock. Who's there? Not gorilla's brain cells. From SQ Dragonfly for the answer, Trump represents white supremacy. And from Stephanie for I don't want to be dog walked. Yeah, I think that was it. I think that was all of them.
That's awesome, you guys. That actually cheered me up a lot. Now I just need to go walk like 5 miles until my blood pressure goes down.
Well, they've got
everything will be okay.
Please, thank you. Wonderful job today. I had a lot of fun covering this version of the Republican Party. It makes me a little bit happier when the Republicans are so crazy that everybody sees it. Like, I do think that there's some hope for this party to continue to just implode. Reminder, we have book club. That is in the Discord. That is at 8:30 Central Time. We invite anybody who wants to participate to show up. Reading the book is actually not required for this book club. So if you would like to join book club, 8:30 Central Time tonight in the Discord. I did it.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I had a good time today. A little frustrating at the end, but overall, I think we're doing a good job. And I think overall what's important and what I'm realizing is like it was a good move to give MAGA exactly what they wanted, because now we see the cognitive dissonance, that it's never about what they're asking for. They don't want anything but chaos. The chaos is the point. It's never about fixing a problem. It's about creating chaos.
Just a quick reminder. MAGA is never playing 3D chess. They're not playing 4D chess. They're not playing chess. They're spending all of their time trying to convince Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Ted Cruz, Andy Biggs, Eli Crane, Paul Gosar to stop eating the checker pieces. That's what they're doing. They don't even have a game because they keep eating the goddamn pieces. These people are not worth
microplastics.
Yeah, they are not worth a goddamn thing. Thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. We're back on the main account, which was fun. Thank you guys.
That's the best part.
For the support, for the gifts. If I didn't read your comment today, if something came in later, I will definitely read it tomorrow morning. We're continuing CoinCot through the 9th. What's today? What's the date?
Friday's the 9th, I believe.
Friday is the 9th. We'll be continuing that. Thank you guys for the support. Just a reminder, go out and support those creators that are participating in CoinCot. Do your best to stay in those lives and let people know that we stand with them in solidarity. We do not approve of TikTok silencing POC creators. And hopefully TikTok is getting the message. We'll see you guys in the morning.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.